Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Wednesday, and welcome to the final Series E Apex Legends here of 2022. Crazy that this year is almost done, but excited to be here with you all, of course, before everybody goes on their holiday break. My name is Yeso, as always, your host here as we close out another year of Series E, and welcome to the show, everybody. For those of you that are new, just want to break down just how things work so we're all on the same page. Now, Series E is a professional esports open circuit that absolutely anyone can join across multiple different titles. We've got Guilty Gear Strive, Multiverses, and of course, Apex Legends. The way things work is players and teams come out, they play in our open qualifiers, and the best of the best make it into Series E. Now, what does that mean for them? Well, players will get the opportunity to sign a contract, get signed by one of our partnered brands, earn a monthly salary, and get to compete weekly for points and prize money. In Apex Legends, it's every single Wednesday night against some of the best pros from all across North America. So if you want to know how to get involved, see how things work, head over to esportsarena.com for more information. Now, as we turn our eyes here towards tonight's competition, do want to let you folks know, of course, with the last day of the ALGS regular season coming tomorrow, some of the pro squads that we would normally see tonight are heavy into scrims tonight to prepare for that last day of competition. So a little bit more of an open night feel here tonight. Some good pro squads here, G2, CLG, MPS as well, but it's going to be a more mix of some open squads competing with our partnered teams here tonight. So just keep an eye out for that here today. Of course, the partnered squad's trying to end the year on a high note. Been a bit of a struggle for them for the first couple of weeks, some getting some solid points on the board, others struggling to break into that top 10. So hopefully today, a bit of an opportunity for them to get some momentum going, put some good points up on the board, and see if they can end the year on a high note. My good friends Dia and T-Squared will be casting all the games tonight. They'll be bringing you all of the action, and of course, I'll be here all throughout to break things down, check out replays, and keep tabs on our leaderboard. So hope you look forward to 6 awesome games here today, and hopefully we can close out 2022 with a banger here tonight. Also a reminder, of course, we do have shows going the rest of the week. Our last night of Guilty Gear Strive for the year tomorrow, as well as Multiverses to close out 2022 this Friday. So if you guys are here for some FGC action as well, make sure you're here for that at 4 p.m. Pacific time the next 2 days. But of course, Apex Legends here tonight. I believe we're ready to go. Production will give me the thumbs up if we're ready to head over to the casters. Let's do it. Let's kick off now the final night of Series E Apex Legends here for 2022. Let's have some fun.
Almost big map picket vibes from back in early seasons of Series E. Now Slept-On taking a lot of damage, and I may
The shots are starting to connect with what he does, and they're going down Sung, making the thing sang right there.
as he hopped back on with Nerf. Nerf looking like they want to close in another fight. Forsey with the shots, and goodbye to
So on this doorway and those windows, and they should be able to fight it out. Meanwhile, Intel getting into another battle, clear way across the map. Intel breaking.
Mike and Knight are getting aggressive. They got first knock. Actually, Z Davis once again with that charge rifle, but Bronzy.
No exception from above as well.
You see what Acceptance up to. They're making the flank on down below. Touch P1. Play bomb coming through. Now it's a 2-on-2 situation. Maybe a 2-on-1. It is a 2-on-1.
Welcome back to Series E, everyone, where I, Dia, alongside T-Squared, as Yeso promised, will be bringing you 6 games of action tonight. T-Squared, we have the unique privilege of being on the last broadcast for Apex Legends of this year, and the teams that we're going to be doing it alongside, the action that's going to happen here is, I think, going to be unlike anything we've seen, not just this season, but last season either.
Got a little bit of a mix of the, well, first of all, Gia, great to be with you. Thank you. Great intro, as always. It's going to be exciting because we have a great mix of, hey, what's up? Wait, wrong way. There you go. Hey. I'm waving at the wall. It's kind of weird. We have a great mix of some really talented players and some new players in here. And you know what that means? Sharks smell blood in the water, Dia, okay? Let's just say white Tom Cruise, you're gonna get it, all right? I'm not feeling a lot of kills are coming your way. I'm just saying thanks for playing.
Yo, what was it? Yeso was saying this earlier, that a lot of people, especially at the pro level right now, are dialing things in for the last couple of weeks of the season, their last opportunities to qualify for LAN. But we've got some pro squads here that likewise are going to be trying to make their way, and it's a different approach, right? They, in this particular case, are going to be working on how hard they can carry momentum. And I will say, up against the squads in this lobby, it's not going to be easy. You'll recognize a lot of names that are coming in who might not be in Pro League, but who have been working their way up to Pro League through Challenger circuits. So, I do think that, say, teams like G2, CLG, Team Gnaske should have a really good time tonight in terms of their 3v3s. I also don't think that they can turn their brains off and run these lobbies.
And one of the interesting things here too, you know, I know we're not supposed to talk about the teams that aren't here, but very rarely do you see the Esports Arena team actually taking a little bit of a break. And we know that they're going through a little bit of a roster change. It didn't seem like it worked out very well with Naughty last week, but it's very interesting to see who shows up, because whether you're having, you know, issues with your team or it's the holidays or whatever, I always look at the people that show up during Series E, because these are the teams that consistently, again, are going to improve, right? So you got to give credit to, again, all the partner teams that are always here, but some of these other pro teams that are being consistent. G2, they haven't been, you know, at the highest level that they've been hoping for. So they're going to continue to grind, they're going to continue to play, they're going to continue to show up. Then you got Gnaske, who's playing over Series just to come over here and try to take Series E again and try to prove something. So, you know, that this is a player that has been inside of the top 5 for the ALGS championships, always is grinding, and I love to see when people are showing up back to back weeks, and you know, shout out to everyone that's playing. But in terms of other players that are going to be standing out, we have MPS, Madness, POW, and Shubi, another one of those teams that is looking to kind of find their groove, find their footing, continue to try to improve. And I really think that you're going to have kind of a 50-50 mix of teams that are trying to really hardcore play the zone and learn the zone, and other teams like G2 that are just going to completely send it and just try to fight against everybody.
It's something that actually has me wondering about their interactions with CLG as well, who I think recently have discovered or sort of gone back to their roots, I'd say, as a zone team. They actually, all these players have had their start over here in Series E, so you talk about that consistency showing back up and giving back at this level. They're going to be going up against our other partnered squads now, and another one of those teams that I wanted to bring attention to, as Yesa was saying, were teams that have managed to just barely eke into that top 10. Team Mike and Ike from just last week actually really impressing me, and given the fact that they ended last season so strong, I'm glad to see that even in the early 3 weeks of this season, where all of our partnered squads are still starting to shape up and find their own identity, that Mike and Ike do have a head start.
Yeah, and that's because they're all playing well, and we know what MJ is able to do, especially on Horizons. So, I mean, how many times last week did we see him just fly in the air, one-clipping people, just making your jaw drop, and you're like, how is this dude even real? Someone check his computer for, you know, hacks or whatever it is, because he is ridiculous. And there's a reason, Dia, that he was the MVP of last season for our partner teams, because he really is the glue and the opening fragger. He's the opener and the closer for his team. He opens up the fights and then he finishes them.
You're reminding me of Chaotic. I think it was actually my last cast with you where we almost saw Chaotic
Oh my
pull off
gosh.
a 1v3 under Stormcatcher. Do you remember that? That
Yes.
was Ian
Underneath?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was terrifying. I know Intel is right next to them, and Intel will remember that as well, I'm sure. They are another squad that I do like to keep my eyes on. I've been following these players since way back in the day, so we'll see how all of our partnered squads, and again, you know, giving attention to some of the teams that we really called out earlier, will get the chance to perform. We talked about Gnaske a little bit earlier as well, and as we do drop into the game and get our characters all picked up, it's worth noting that Team Gnaske, despite the fact that they won last week, have still changed 2 out of 3 of their players. Gnaske is the only one who's still here, and he's picked up some pretty crazy firepower in the form of Oirain and Tyler.
It's Team Gnaske. He can really do whatever he wants and pick up whoever he wants. We're actually playing with Team Gnaske next time they are in Series E. DME.
Yes.
So, I'm ready. Carry us, Gnaske. I used to play a ton with Gnaske back in the day, and just a great person to play with overall. Always keeping the vibes high. Always, you know, laughing about certain things that don't go well. And they're going to be going and taking the landslide area. It's just so nice seeing World's Edge, you know. I feel like, you know, with the holidays and Christmas coming up, we have the Winter Express going on. It just feels right starting on this map.
Hear me out, T-Squared. I think we should be running more Winter Express tournaments. That should absolutely be like a gauntlet of teams that run through it. I'd like to see Team Gnaske in something like that. They're getting their best shot at it by picking up at least the remainder of the train cart, but some teams have already been taken down. We're out to 19 already, with Aspire being eliminated, and Mike and Ike are going toe-to-toe up here in Climatizer. Not a knock just yet, but close enough for MJ, and these kills should be pretty easy for Mike and Ike to pick up given the damage that they've already thrown in.
You don't want to go toe-to-toe with this guy. We're just talking about how good his Horizon is. He gets up before the other Horizon, which means he's going to have the advantage shooting. And then the shots with the 3x Havoc, just ripping, making it look like there's absolutely no recoil throughout all of that. Then he doubles back, uses the lift again, shoots the second player, and that's what MJ is all about. Dude is just absolutely nasty. Can't talk about him enough, but let's see what they can do now that they've picked up a couple early kills. It's always good, right when you start the first game of the tournament here in Series E, picking up a couple early ones. We're taking a look at the zone, and you can see a lot of pings going on in the middle of that bridge, right? There's going to be a couple of different options, but that's a very popular ending spot. Right over there, directly on the bridge, underneath it, there's a couple buildings right there that you could end up playing too if you want to play this fairly safe, that you could eventually make your rotation in. The building coming out of the back of Big Mod and Lava City being open, that's absolutely crazy. One of the best spots to land. You can go and get that gold gun inside of Big Mod and really use that to your advantage. You can see the team rotating in from Dome right now is going to realize that, and they'll be like, holy cow, guys, we can maybe get 2 POIs. If I'm them, I just full send over towards Lava City and Big Mod. I don't even go Dome, and I establish dominance in game number 2 over towards Lava City, and then you could split 2 Lava City, 1 into Dome, and you'll be in a really good spot. Basically, everyone's going to walk away with purple armor and any gun that they choose. So I really like that. It's pretty free right now. I mean, if that's one of the POIs that's free, you got to take that.
I mean, yeah, just earlier you were talking about Team Esports Arena, and while that name has now changed hands, it was the team that now it plays is Optic, who in their Esports Arena days became known as the squad that would be able to pick up all 3 of those POIs. Remember, they were getting Dome, Uncontested, alongside Lava City and Big Mod that you already mentioned, the souped up guns, and so much space in World's Edge that you and I both know does really favor those southern zones. We've got some crafting going on in Climatizer and a potential fight breaking out there as Team Inferno are actually going to get, I hesitate to say pounced on, but certainly soft engaged on in Lava Siphon. Good initial hits from Tyler as he has to squirm back inside to save his own skin. Unfortunately, he comes face to face with Papa Midget on this Valkyrie, and his squad is deleted immediately. Team Inferno are torn apart by Zero Marksman.
Wow, that was pretty fast. Team Gnaske, the team that won last week. Hey, keep in mind, this is what they do, right? They got 0 points in game number 1. They're trying to just stay consistent here. You love that about Team Gnaske, but Zero Marksman put in some serious work right there. Papa Midget, a name we've seen a handful of times popping up here, and really nice positioning coming in for everybody, but most importantly, everybody winning their ones, taking the fight directly towards them. And you saw the screens coming in from Team Gnaske. It looked pretty good. It wasn't like they were whiffing shots or anything like that, so just imagine what it looked like from their point of view on the opposite team as CLG is going to take position inside of Lava Siphon. One of my favorite spots to watch the zones kind of work, right? And this is where the value of Watson is going to be amazing, because you can really have this presence in a handful of different doors, similar to Caustic, where if you see some of your fences being broken down, or if you see, you know, a barrel getting exploded, you're going to be in a good spot. But CLG is going to be rocking Crypto, Watson, Valkyrie. I have a lot of respect for the Crypto teams. I would love to see more Crypto teams coming out. And watching all the different regions right now, Dia, you have so many different legend compositions, right? Especially if you were watching, what was that, APAC North a couple days ago when they went to game 13, and almost every single team had Bangalore.
Yeah, it is wild to see the way that the meta has taken such a big turn ever since Champs. Everybody was talking about how important it was to be able to take 3v3s, and that importance still we're going to feel here as Aegon by AOC do get taken out.
It's White Tom Cruise.
Oh my lord, it is.
Took a break from Scientology to play Apex. Wow, really appreciate that. He's playing Bloodhound and made me eat my words. Taking down one of our best partnered teams just seems, kind of right? I love calling out the new players to see what they got, and obviously some serious talent here. I mean, we weren't expecting to see two of these teams take down some of our top squads already, so we're in for a treat. I mean, the level of Apex has continued to rise, and I would like to think that Series E has been a small part of that.
Mm-hmm. I would agree, and we are certainly getting, as you talked about, some of our best teams tested today. We've got an Octane in the lobby that, I won't lie, did scare me. Just seeing that as an option for later on is something that a lot of these players are not going to be used to for good reason. Octane fell out of favor quite a long time ago now, it seems, and having never really gotten that jump pad back, not a whole lot of pros still use it, but make no mistake, especially in terms of these short-range, very quick engagements, Octane still fills that role like no other legend.
He's fun. The best legend to warm up in pubs with, right? If you want to get your brain moving, just play some Octane, hit some stems, get a little cracked out. Take a look at MPS. Charge Rifle Charlie's inside of the building over here, and they're just going to be posted up, feeling good about the situation. Again, we had some pings going down in a handful of different spots. That's what makes Lava Siphon zones so appealing, because you have people thinking it's going to pull over towards the bridge. You have teams that try to play over down low. Eventually, this roof is going to have a team. There's going to be teams coexisting all over the place. A lot of charge rifle ammo here. The 3X is perfect for this type of situation. EMP going to come down and destroy their shields, but that's mainly to try to get that Evo shield charged up, and that's where that free extra 50 damage is coming in per player, so you love to see it coming in. Different layers of strategy as well, but you gotta be careful with the cell situation, right? I mean, you do have Loba here, so you're gonna be in an okay situation a little bit later on, but you can see 4 cells, Dia, that's really not that much to be poking around.
No, MPS don't have as much access to heals as CLG even, that are right across from them, having whipped out that EMP moments before. CLG also have the benefit of a Watson for these small poke battles, and their Evos should be coming out a lot easier, given they don't have to expend these resources. Zero Marksman, though, getting aggressive right now. Black Hole on the other side of the wall pulls everyone into Papa Midget's Eva, and Moonshine's got a nice flank here. No knocks, though, for Zero Marksman, and that stymies their game plan as Papa Midget gets blown up. Cape takes him down, and Zero Marksman have to hit that quick reset. I'm not even sure that they can play safe now.
It's a little weird, right? It was such a good ult from Vosky that his teammates were like, all right, let's send it, but Vosky never sent it. So it was kind of just like a buying time ult. I don't really understand that. It must have been some sort of miscommunication right there. Super unfortunate, because the ult was amazing. I like the play coming in from Papa Midget. Get aggressive, try to push in, see what you can do, create an opportunity. But once you lose a teammate and they're down, you really can't continue to push that, right? Because you're worried about third parties because of the great positioning coming in from these teams. So a very tough spot to be in. Maybe they can get some sort of crazy res late game, but you can see how far it is to get on over towards their spot. What do you think? Do you think that it was just a little bit of a miscommunication?
Yeah, it seemed like it, right? You want to take 3 people into that gunfight, especially when you're swinging a corner. It's so important to bring 2 with you, and we are seeing Zero Marksman maybe work out a few kinks in their game plan now, as Gnaske are going to try and do the same. There's the double swing that we were talking about, as Tyler ends up teaming up with Gnaske and full sending it onto the bottom floor. Already 2 knocks for them, and Gnaske wipe the floor with Beast Mode in Lava City.
I think I'm getting old or something, or my casting's falling off, because I swear this team died earlier. But I don't know if they just lost one player. What's going on over here? Because Team Gnaske comes out and just dominates that fight. They're going to be pushing around looking for kills. Now, speaking of teams that are looking for kills, where is G2 throughout all of this? They rotated from the thermal station area. We know that that's where they're at, and production is on top of it. Guess what? They're looking for the fight, and they're trying to third-party Team Gnaske.
They might be able to, I will say, take a fight. Maybe not in the time frame that they were looking for, though. G2 are going to be able to run down into these tunnels should they desire, but I think they've spotted folks out here. Team Gnaske actually in their sights. This is a very long rotation from G2, and you have to imagine that as much as they're looking for fights, they're also looking for that god spot that you talked about earlier. With the likelihood that this zone pulls us over to the bridge, if G2 can take control of Lava City and Big Mod, they will have first dibs on that easternmost part of the bridge.
And this is what they love to do. They're also playing Mangalore too, which is exciting. We talked about that a little bit earlier, but they always kind of play that slow side where it's always pinching over towards the backhand side. This is one of the hardest pushes in Apex, though. When a team has this building up there, Chaotic ends up shooting. They know that they're inside there. And G2 is going to be forced to probably play this low ground coming around where the geysers are. And that's not that bad, right? It's a decent spot because we see a lot of zones end over towards that way, Dia. But if you think that you could go and push Team Gnaske, you have another thing coming. The good thing is they do have the comp for it, right? They could smoke it out, Beast of the Hunt, Grav lift up towards the top, and this is kind of what you play for. You want to go and try to take those type of fights that you'll eventually need to take. So I'm curious to see what they're going to do. It is a secluded fight, and those are two powerhouse teams.
Team Gnaske are setting up defensively for now. Their rotation into the bridge is essentially secure at the moment. If you were watching the kill feed, you would have also noticed, everyone, that Mike and Ike are picking up a little bit more KP. Team Gnaske looking out at their western side as well to keep themselves from falling prey to G2, but the pace of the lobby has continued at a steady rate. We haven't had this big explosion of deaths that we normally look for in late game circles. It's been a slow trickle of squads being picked off in isolated 3v3s.
Yeah, that's a good point. A lot of clean team fights for what we've seen over and over again, and this Digi-Threat is huge because if they do end up smoking it out, they can call for the push. Tyler can just switch on over to his R9, zoom in, and give that info for the team, which means they won't all three stand shoulder to shoulder. They'll all kind of take the angles. But look how spread out they are right now. I mean, they're not going to know this on the side of G2. But if they were to make a play right now, these guys would be done for. Shots going in with the charge rifle from the air. MPS is playing that low ground now. They see some players that are down, and they get some weak guys as well, and some easy pickups coming in. Madness is just so talented in these little skirmishes, and Team Milk, they are expired. Nothing's worse than spoiled milk.
Yeah, for them, they'll be able to take a short break before making their way back into the aisle. MPS, though, opting into this low ground right next to where G2 were earlier was a risky play from them, exposing themselves to maybe some other third parties that did not end up coming through. As Team Tyson make a risky move themselves, they drop down into the low ground outside Geyser, and while this shouldn't kill them immediately, Team Mike and Ike are going to be more than prepared to deal with that squad. Arcstar almost landing the stick there would have changed everything.
That was a really good nade, good EMP as well. It only hits MJ, unfortunately, but you saw how he was using a little bit of the mountain to make sure that his drone doesn't get shot. Great job backing off Team Mike and Ike. I really like the idea of going and playing safe there and dropping down. It looked like for a second it was like an accidental fall, and it ended up working out in their favor because you do not want to walk right into MJ. He's going to completely obliterate you in that fight. Alt, grab lift, etc. It'd be going down. Now over towards the no-name area across from Lava Siphon. This is going to be a very contested area. This is one of the most popular spots to go and fight. And you can see it's going down. Razor's on the ropes. Arcstars all over the place. And it's CCUS again. These dudes are nasty.
And Intel are rocking up on this too. They've seen another partnered squad go down and they want revenge. Blinzar gonna rock for it on that Arcstar. Eats a little bit of damage, but now has control over the angle on the roof. RE45 in hand. He is slaying out already. And Jet comes up behind, picking up that kill. Getting Team Intel the first to knock and securing the building. CCUS are destroyed by Grandma's house. And Intel take the cake.
And you have Designable getting a knock on Gnaske too, so that fight's going down. FKA gets eliminated from Mike and Ike starting to pick up momentum, and it does pull on over towards the bridge. I love this rotation. I feel like whoever team comes over from that side is going to be in a great spot, but the fight happened over towards the low ground, so it looks like Team Gnaske ended up leaving, tried to go through the tunnel, And then they met the G2 squad who's just waiting, and that's the value of the Digi again right here. Look at this. They have the smokes coming through, and you're wondering, are these guys cheating at a certain point? Because the smokes are hitting, but here comes Chaotic pushing through. No chance for a heal. A nice job from Tyler trying to stay alive. Now it's a 1v2 for OJ Rain, and I just don't think he's going to be able to pull this off. Nice shots either way. And Resulta, the last man standing. He has the res coming in with the gold knockdown. It should be an easy reset. Plus 2 smokes if he wants to use them. Well, doesn't even use the smokes, huh? Okay. I see you feeling confident over here.
That's the confidence of, G2. They're like, you know what? I hope someone fights us. I hope someone looks at us and pushes this. MPS do certainly take a note of the fight that happened just to their south. They've got cover of rocks to be able to gatekeep this squad, and G2 making good use of that Horizon Gravity Lift makes Shuby's life a little bit more difficult than it was moments before. The push, though, is still going to need to come in. Those smokes that you talked about earlier may be the most important part of the game plan for G2. MPS playing for coverage right now, have Madness on the opposite side, getting fried behind this respawn beacon. His feet are going to be tickled, and as he gets out just barely with that bracelet, Shuby's missing his shields as well. Pow Pow has nothing, and MPS are taking reset after reset, and I'll tell you what, T-Squared, I'm not seeing them deal any damage back.
This is when you realize, okay, we're going up against G2. Bangalore Bloodhound team out-trading us at this medium to close range every single time. They all have cracked out armors. They all have the ideal scopes and weapons that they want to go and use. And they're going to end up playing this a little bit safe. They cut off the angle where they could go and use the wall. The Black Market Boutique goes down, and look at this. They're just camping on the other side, waiting to make a play. Multiple Digi threats coming through. They ended up taking the one off of Tyler's body, too, so that's going to be extremely useful for Resulta. But this fight is going to be going down. It's going to be explosive.
Oh, there it comes. Bloodhound ult in the mix. Designful gonna go ahead and try and peek this. Gets fried on the way out, and in comes the swing from MPS as a response. Resulta's able to hold down this angle behind the rock. Newcastle Shield doing nothing in the face of this spot with the car. Resulta on the Bangalore manages to just out-angle MPS. It doesn't even look fair.
And that's how you do it right there if you're Designful, right? You go in, you do a little bit of damage, you run back perfectly. It looked like he was going to eat that Arc Star, ends up coming back at the right time. The heals are coming through at the perfect time as well. They're not able to land that Seer Q as the batteries are going down. But what a way to open the fight, and having trust in your teammates right there. They hear one guy's one shot, they immediately send it, focused on him. They don't realize that all of G2 is just lined up, ready to go. Great execution from G2.
It looked like the perfect bait, and that is why we praise G2 so much as a team-fighting team. But you talked about Zone a little bit earlier. Tyson have taken a totally different approach to this game. They've got 4 kills so far as yet another squad falls. RIP Team Raven, but Tyson have managed to secure this hilltop early, and a spot where normally Zone would end is all of a sudden becoming really not the place to be. Check out how far they're going to have to move and how into the open Tyson is about to be.
I like the way that Tyson's playing this. Unfortunately, it looked like someone fell down by accident, and oddly enough, it's Kodagami who's playing Valkyrie, so the res ends up going down. CLG gets eliminated. Maybe he wanted to get the kill and then try to get back on over towards the top, but that's unfortunate timing because the zone is starting to close in. MJ taking his time, lining up the shots, and he knows how to shoot up and down over towards these grab lifts, and it is G2. Unfortunately for them, they are going to be taken down here very shortly by Mike and Ike. I mean, the spray, the elimination's coming in so fast, there's no chance. Also, Kodagami, who was knocked earlier, is going to get taken down too. But Mike and Ike is playing this flawlessly. It's going to be really exciting to see what other teams are here, because you can see it's just a duo. It's a 3-on-2 now, and Mike and Ike in a great position to win this game. They have weak players. They have the information going on. Great Q there from Wizard Coin, and MJ taken to the skies, hitting the battery as well. We were highlighting them beforehand, Dia. You picked the right teams to go and watch out for. Mike and Ike's very close to ending game number 1, and they do.
I mean, good lord. Who are these guys? The way that they dismantled G2 after our 2 other favorite teams in the lobby, the ones with the most pro experience, I might say, fell to that squad. G2 took out both Team Gnaske, one of, as you illustrated, one of the greatest IGLs in the world. He's making top 10 lists worldwide, followed it up with a takedown onto MPS, and then up in the face of Mike and Ike, just, well, I mean, we tuned in and they were basically gone. It was like they were playing with their food.
Yeah, you never know what was going on, why it was so late for the rotation coming in. You don't want to be rotating exactly with the zone right there. Maybe G2 took too long to go and loot and try to move forward, trying to pick up nades, extra cells that they needed. Or they just, had a plan and it didn't work out because they met Mike and Ike, who just countered them extremely hard. And you saw, it didn't even seem like MJ was very close to the team, right? You had him separated, and by that happening, they were already laying down certain shots. I mean, the smokes came through. They didn't even take much damage. That's what's crazy about that. And you're starting to see, just right there, Dia, Mike and Ike was a team last season that was struggling to keep their spot and make it in. They were right on the bubble. Now they're looking like one of the strongest teams that we have. And that's how much improvement they've had over the last couple months.
I love seeing Mike and Ike flourish, but we're going to get the chance to talk a little bit more about Mike and Ike as we hit the desk with Yeso.
Oh, there we go. Great look there from Mike and Ike in the end of that game, grabbing our first win of the day here and looking much like the Mike and Ike we saw down the stretch back in Season 5. MJ on that horizon, doing great things, playing confidently and aggressively. It was impressive to watch all throughout. They grabbed the win there, and they're looking pretty solid so far. Curious to see if they can keep things rolling, and I imagine they will be at the top of our Mobile 1 leaderboard when we'll check it a little bit later. But first of all, let's jump into our Mobile 1 high-performance moment here for our first game of the day. And I imagine it's probably going to be a look here at Mike and Ike and their finish, and it is. And this is as they go for this push onto G2. You see CLG going out, 4 squads remaining, and just so much pressure being applied here. MJ with that 2-4 on the R301, steady aim, clean, going for the peak here with the car, and they easily finish it off. There's nowhere to hide there for G2. They clean them up, and of course then they immediately roll that right into the victory, cleaning up those final 2 players as Tyson go out. And this is just good work from Mike and Ike, covering their sight lines, not allowing any sort of safety despite the smokes going out here from G2. They continue to apply the pressure, don't allow them to get any sort of a reset here, and G2 just succumbs to the pressure. So well played here from Mike and Ike, and just, again, a return to the Mike and Ike of old that we remember from the end of last season. They were one of the best teams in the back half of Season 5, and it was largely on the back of MJ really pushing the envelope, playing so confidently and aggressively, and it really allowed the rest of the team a lot of room to flourish, and it definitely showed in this first game of the day. So we'll see if they can keep things rolling with 5 more games to go. We're headed to a quick break. When we come back, though, Dia and T Squared will get you ready for Game 2.
I'll be loading up, they wanna package this. Pray for peace, pacifist, I'm never old enough to give a promise.
Tyson boneless buffalo bites have that tasty kick of flavor, so they're perfect for any get-together. If there are any left when your guests arrive. Tyson Anytizers Chicken. More kicks of flavor, more smiling snackers, more to love. Tyson.
Welcome back, everyone, here at Series E. We are getting ready for Game 2 of the night, where Mike and Ike already stole away one game on World's Edge. We're about to jump into our second, and already the book, especially after this game, is going to start to close on this map. So other teams that are looking at great positions, like the ones that Mike and Ike, like the ones that Tyson had in the mid-game there, do have at least 2 more opportunities to step things up and get themselves a few points.
Yeah, you got a good taste of how every single team is going to play. You have an aggressive team coming in from Mike and Ike, and they played a handful of different areas right there too. But it's no surprise that 3 of the really, really good teams all swing in from that backhand side, because they understood all of that action that comes out of Lava Siphon gets filtered in. So if they could come through over towards the Lava City area and work towards the backhand side, you're getting a lot more kill opportunities over there, as we see the 50-50 taking place from Mike and Ike. Another P20 to start over here, but there it is, the R301 wingman. MJ is going to get ready to send this.
You know, this is a combo that you very well might finish the game with. So the fact that Mike and Ike already have this on one of the players that is the most mobile in this lobby and has the firepower to go alongside that is a good sign. Silent, unfortunately, doesn't have a weapon, manages to rectify that right now, but Mike and Ike's control of the height is what's going to give them an edge here as they get to drop down and sweep this building slowly. It should be Zenus that is in the building now, if history is any teacher, as they were the ones sat right here just last game. Double arc star flying in from Silent opens things up well, and a crack already demonstrated by Wizard Coin's scan. It's an easy cleanup for them to pop in here. Eva gets whipped out as the door gets closed, and it's up to MJ to finish off another kill. Silent getting knocked in the meantime, but again, I reiterate, this should be a pretty simple cleanup for the squad that already has the 2 versus 1 advantage.
I always love these instances where the team that just died goes, "No, man, we got this. They won last game. They're trash, man. Like, let's just play a little bit differently." Nope. It's time to switch up the landing spot, boys. It's not happening. Mike and I respect the play. I respect the confidence, but I feel like you got to be a whole nother level of crazy to watch a team win a game like that and then full send it right back. They must really like this area.
They really do. Climatizer is worth all of this suffering. Mike and Ike actually quite notably on the warpath with their rotations just last game played a part, a major one, in the elimination of 4 squads before they even hit the end game. So there are a lot of teams that should be reconsidering exactly where they're dropping, especially considering that we do pull down to the south once again. And Mike and Ike should be walking through a lot of very similar squads. Oh my God, Blitz!
Does more damage than the Kraber. That's absolutely ridiculous. Headshot amped up. The push coming up over towards the high ground. Missing a couple of those flatline shots, but the damage has been done. FKA, you're out of here. What a shot from Blitz.
I mean, most of the time, I like to write down, this squad kills this squad. I think I'm just going to write down Blitz killed FKA. I think that's going to be my note for now, because that kind of takedown, especially in Dome, that we talked about a little bit earlier, is so valuable. It doesn't just mean that Razor gets the 3 kill points, but remember, FKA had access to 3 different POIs last game. They were the ones that dropped down in Dome, then got Lava City, then got Big Mod as well, and now it's Team Razor that get all of that.
I wonder why he's standing still. He's like, Xbox, record that. Like, you're just like going in, like saving his clips. What a nasty clip right there. Team Gnaske now over towards the backhand side of the map, and it looks like they're going to be pushing a team. I like this play. Lava Fisher seems to be a potential ending spot here too, and they're going to be picking up a couple of kills. And it's not at that time too early where there's going to be multiple teams rotating in, but we've seen fights on all corners of the map so far, as you see a fight taking all the way over towards the north, a fight taking all the way over towards the west hand side, and a fight over towards the south. Just need to get some landslide fights in the middle. We'll be good.
Ooh, lordy. Oivrain's already found a kill in this engagement, by the way. That was before we even tuned in with them. And there we go. That was the kill. Team Gnaske are very much comfortable over on this side of the map. Gnaske maybe a little bit less so, as he's dipping and diving on lava right now to make the escape. But the rest of the team seems pretty darn unconcerned. You asked for fights in the middle, though, and we certainly got one. CLG break out the wingman at close range to find their knock onto Cody Gami, an unfortunately timed thirst, but CLG still on the ropes in here. Have Nano, who manages to pull out that shield swap, erect these fences just in time, and actually maybe pop this res. This is really risky. I can't believe they're going for it, and I can't believe they get away with it like they do.
Oh, they don't really get away with it. I mean, you do have the respawn beacon right there, but this could potentially send a third party over there. This is a Hot Springs ending. These endings are so fun, and you know who's going to be on that high ground right there? G2. G2's 1,000% going to go and take that spot. Curious to see which team ended up landing staging, but that's what I'm worried about. They're going for the respawn right now, and if that's G2, I feel like G2's going to send it towards this building as soon as the player lands.
I would. And knowing the G2 folks, they're already talking about it. They see the respawn ship come in, but holding onto this high ground, it's G2 that have the scan that we don't. I'm taking a look at their map right now, and this may just be a play where G2 recognize that the rock right behind Designful is one of the best spots in the game as long as the zone continues to pull over here.
Wow, I'm shocked that G2 is not going to send this. Now they get some huge cracks. Nobody's going for it. They're so concerned about this spot because it is the God spot. This is one of the best positions that you can hold, and I get it. They don't want to give that up, but knowing G2, they tend to not think about that, and they're just like,
right?
It's like squirrel, and then they just end up going. But they're going to play a little bit disciplined, and I like the discipline. I think either way the play works. You know, 3 points isn't going to make or break your game. It's a very good team, plus you're kind of destroying their shields right now. So at a certain point, Designful is probably like, dude, these guys aren't even good. As he's just like getting free shots, it's like they're just looting their box, Designful. Like, leave them alone. We'll just let them get their ammo back and then take the fight. But he's bullying them from up here, D. It has to be frustrating after that clean fight that they took.
Yeah, Resulta probably a little upset as well. Now he's the only one on blue shield since Design's been able to farm up the 500 damage necessary to push himself up that little bit further. G2 in a commanding spot, as we talked about earlier, but one that will be a little bit more difficult to play active from, and that's the real question for me surrounding this team, is will they be able to play in a spot like this that feels almost counter to their identity as a team when they are sitting back, holding this rock, holding this space. It means that G2 aren't getting to make proactive moves on the rest of the map.
I like the aggressive play coming in from Designful. He's on the Bloodhound, so he can hit the scans whenever he senses that someone's going to be near. Plus, you have your team looking over you from that high ground on the rock, too. So this is a good spot to be in. And I'm curious if he is going to kind of share the love, right? Results has got the blue, Chaotic's got the gold. So much ammo over here. And that 30-30, almost a gold one. You had a Skull Piercer on that thing, and now we're seriously talking. But Resulta also has a 3x charge rifle, so they have all of the weapons that they need to go and hold this position. This is a great loadout for a great scenario coming in from G2. But this is what we've seen G2, adapt to. Before, they had a weird style. Like, thermal station zones, they would sit in the top middle. There's not a lot of endings that happen over there. And last week we saw when there was an ending towards the back of thermal station, they set up in the God spot. They took the priority building in the very backhand side, and they were able to win the game. So now it's G2 kind of doing the same thing. They understand this area. They land over towards thermal station. They're very good at predicting where these zones are, but they've picked poor spots. Now they're going to just work on their execution. The shots coming in from Pow, and it's looking clean there with the longbow. We've seen some great sniping so far. 2 knocks coming in, and 1 player remains. I like this. He's going to go for the 3v1. He's got some weak players. He might as well just full send this.
Yeah, nice way to sort of at least go out in a blaze of glory, send himself to Ragnarok. Shubi is looking for this finisher, is right behind the rock. You've got some good heals going on, but it's not enough to save Chaotic Passion, who do go out again before hitting the top 10. This happened to them actually just last game, going down to Team Mike and Ike in one of those squads to fall a little bit earlier. This time, MPS.
Speaking of Mike and Ike, here they are on your screen. One of my favorite things in that scenario too is that last guy alive is your teammates are like in the death screen watching and you're like, man, did you guys see how hard I tried to win that fight or like to try to get you guys? We've all been there.
Yeah, and you know what? We've all not only seen it, but you know that you have to respect at least the attempt, right? Especially in games like this where it is so unlikely that you find yourself a win without a full squad. Maybe going back for the banners, maybe at least trying to make it happen is the better play. Team Milk, having looted up some death boxes, aren't going to be going for too much of anything, but do accidentally walk themselves into a fight where Muffins does eat a little bit of damage before having to back away. Both squads trying to rotate down through the landslide area and into the south, and quite late, I might add.
Taking a shot at Muffins. He's calling himself the original Muffins over here. I wonder if there's any original Dias out there trying to claim the name. Dia, gotta watch out.
It's true. It's like when people put on their name on Instagram, the real. I always wanted to be the real.
I'm the real T squared on Twitter. Make sure you guys follow me.
I like it. It's good. It's the way you keep quality assurance. White Tom Cruise, quality assured here, that's for sure. Had a breakout last game, and this time sitting with a gold shield all alone, not nearly as happy. Aegon by AOC, also missing a member right now. We're actually going to watch this Bloodhound dip and dive out here, do some serious damage, and, well, that actually is the end of it.
Nice job getting the knock there from Tom Cruise, but he ends up getting dropped, and the reses are being happening on the backhand side. They have an opportunity to get some kill points over here, and I like this play coming in from AFC, but wow, the 2-4 flatline. I wish my shots looked like that across the map. That is not easy recoil to hold there, Dia, and Force making that look easy. I forgot, he wants us to call him Forcey, which is not his name, but we butchered it for so long. He said, you know what, guys, just keep calling me Forcey.
We'll do it. We'll do it. We'll honor the memory, especially with shots like that. The problem for Forcey isn't just going to be pronunciation, though. It's going to be the fact that they're likely walking into Milk, who are playing pretty deep in zone right now. Marinor will come up behind them, and actually now spotted without getting the chance to heal. That syringe didn't go off, and Marinor tanking zone is going to have to stick this one real quick. Should still be safe. The rest of the team coming in to protect, but Milk are running low on health and low on time as well.
What a great play by this enemy team, just popping on. You don't expect a team to push you inside of the zone right there, right? So they're going to go maybe make a play for the box and maybe picked up some loot along the way. I don't know if that was a banner grab. It could have been the way that they were kind of playing that one, but you saw the black hole go down and it wasn't. That was knock without grabbing the banner. So Forcey's going to be stuck in a 1v3, and let's see if that's going to be kind of the flavor of the day so far, just people trying to 1v3 and save their team. But he's stuck in between two squads. There's really not much he can do besides rat this out.
Yeah, and no more heals either, I don't believe. Does just have the shields and trying to play things safe. You hope to God there's not a seer on the enemy team. And, well, at least in this particular lobby, that seems to have worked out. Forcey should be able to make their way into this next zone, as everyone will be forced to vacate the landslide area, but finding a position here is going to be really difficult. I like Team Inferno's position. Mike and I hold up in the RV. There's just not that much to play, as you're going to be going up against two full squads that are both coming. I'll make that one full squad that are coming from the east as well.
Power of crypto there. You could see Team Intel grabbing exactly that. Intel, what a perfect legend for their team, and a great job from production pulling up the map to show us it's not pulling over towards the hot springs, which we all were anticipating. G2 takes that spot. You look at that zone, and 9 times out of 10 you're expecting that, but you have to give credit where credit's due to the other teams that predicted that, played a little bit unorthodox, and set up in different spots of the map. It's going to be a nice job avoiding the seer Q from Milk, and they're going to reset. Possible bounce pad area coming in. I mean, this area looks safe until everyone starts shooting you.
Mike and Ike looked safe as well, and they are simply not. They get taken down, and we've got even more squads lighting things up as MPS are taking full-sized bites out of Milk with the charged rifle. It's Pow Pow that's got that confidence to walk up. The longbow shots do connect at least initially, but then he has to back off. Muffins falls nonetheless to Shuby. with that charge rifle once again, and MPS grabbed themselves a position that so far remains uncontested. Madness going to be able to set up here with that black market, comboing it with the Newcastle wall should they need. But looking at the ring and how this will continue pulling further south, MPS maybe a little bit more focused on mobility than anything else.
And this is where the experience comes in for a team like MPS, right? I mean, great shots coming in from Madness, ripping players apart from ranges that are just unheard of with the car and the Havoc. You saw that gold R9 getting pinged earlier. Shubi2b immediately stopped looting the box that he was in just to run back on over towards that. And what an ideal loadout. The R400, 400 ammo. That's not why they call it the R400. But Madness even has more if you want it, and they're going to be able to pick up all of the resources that they need. 5 batteries, 6 kills, 5 assists. MPS having themselves a game.
Yeah, they've got such control over their lobby, and with the ammunition that you talked about, normally this would be a loadout that I was pretty concerned of with the 301.99. When you're running things like Loba, you don't have to worry nearly as much about situations like this, and when you've got red evos, you can get aggressive as well. Madness certainly doing that, now letting Pow Pow take to the front as he's got that mobile shield for a little bit later on should the rest of the team need it. Nice shots from Shubi to open things up. It is what has put Shub's name on the map, and MPS get to collaborate with the squad, I believe, right next door to them to take out this last team that has sandwiched themselves in over by Countdown. The rotation to the south, though, that is going to be brutal.
And a little, micro play that was happening throughout all of that is you're like, all right, he's on Valkyrie. Does he maybe want to take to the sky to hit that missile swarm? Big mistake. You always want to go and shoot that thing from the ground. It makes it a lot easier. Hurry up, Demi. We got to get out of here as the demigods are making their way out. They didn't have time for a battery, and rightfully so. They need to get moving, and this is a time where you kind of need to get your pings right and make sure that you're landing at the right spot, especially with Demi being so weak. They may have to play some low ground over here, and that looks like it's going to be a play, but they're flying right past CLG, and there is the knock coming from the sky, and CLG waiting inside as well. Unfortunate. I mean, the timing was really good, but a lot of that real estate already eaten up, and CLG's going to take advantage of that.
The Cape was dead before it even hit the ground. That is the level of trap that was set up by CLG. Having baited in one squad, they've got plenty of time to move up now and make their way into the ring as Team Gnaske taking a fight with MPS have already found that knock on Madness. Oivren gets taken down. Tyler's looking for a safe place to set up, but getting beamed on the way out. Retreats back to the safety of Gnaske. Waits to lay down that pylon, pop the bat, and hopefully keep his team in the game. Gnaske is so low right now, and the knockdown shield in front of him isn't going to provide too much safety. Team Gnaske do get taken out, and it's Intel that come in for those kills.
I really like the discipline there to wait until the last second to lay down the interception pylon, but there's not much you can do when you're getting shot from multiple angles over here. And now the persistence paying off for Team Intel. They took this spot a long time ago. Thought maybe it was going to pull on over towards the bridge, but this is the second time we've seen this zone play unpredictable, and that's the World's Edge special. You don't see that in Stormpoint that much. It's going to pull away, and now G2 going to try to get rid of that God spot and now play extra hyper-aggressive over towards one of the buildings on the low ground over here, and they've already got some good damage finding one knock, but Results is taking some decent damage as well. May want to consider tossing that Rolling Thunder here very shortly just to fend off third parties coming through.
Pops the bat around the outside. Resulta going to commit with the rest of the squad, making sure his teammates are safe, protecting Design as he pushes up those stairs. But the health bars are falling a little bit low. Nice swap from Design as he once again gets the chance to peek in. The rest of G2 working seamlessly to take out Razor. I really like the way they played that fight.
Yeah, they fought 2 teams right there, and that's really impressive. Navigating throughout all of that, the Bloodhound scans coming in and being very useful from Design. But Intel's on the ropes, and this is the ending. We haven't seen this in so long. Over towards the crates and the pills. You almost forget about this popular spot where we used to see a decent amount of zones, but things always changing with the way things pull over towards World's Edge. But we're down to a couple of rats and some full squads over here, and Aspire Entertainment, as I'm guessing what their name is, picking a great spot. Look at this setup. They had the zone read for quite some time.
I don't know if they have the read on CLG, though, and that's the most concerning part. With 3 teams left, MPS gone, it's G2, CLG, and Aspire. CLG sure would like this hype, but they've got to be careful of G2. Everyone now poised in this Mexican standoff, watching each other to make sure that nobody makes that first commit, because you know that you will be full sent on. CLG do attract that little bit of attention. They are theoretically the ones sandwiched in this situation, but with the EMP that CLG have in their pocket, they have the opportunity to break one, if not both squads' spots.
I like this play from Nano, getting hyper aggressive, understanding the situation. They know all 3 members of G2. They're kind of like the 3 stooges out there, just poking their head from behind the door, waiting for an opportunity to go and collapse. Then they drop down, take this little rock over here. Now G2 has been the team that has pushed up, and you made a great point, Dia. They have that EMP in the back pocket if they absolutely need it. Looks like they're going to full send it over towards Aspire by laying down the Rolling Thunder over towards the side, which means they're looking to take a fight over towards the team on the high ground. And CLG does a great job. That's why that positioning from Nano is so key.
Yeah, you have to commend the way that Nano's playing this fight, literally just pushing G2 in, making sure that Aspire commit, and now popping over to make sure that Aspire can't play comfortable either. The fence claims a little bit of ground for CLG, as now they've got their own corner to play, and they've got the zone pulling to them as well. Nano is literally exactly where the zone is pulling. Aspire now sandwiched between CLG and G2, and that is not a place that you want to be, especially on your first shot into a pro night. Nano manages to find a kill. Design's gone down as well, though. Aspire was doing serious work. Out goes that EMP. Nano gets the wide swing alongside Demi to pick up another kill. Zark goes down. This should be the last couple of kills coming in for CLG, as G2 have to take to the sky before they ultimately get taken down. And the wingman shot at the end clinches the win for CLG.
An absolute clinic on how to play Apex endgames there from Nano. You brought up some great points there, Dia. Sandwiching the other teams. It once was a CLG sandwich. It ended up becoming a G2 sandwich. And just pushing and filtering the squads into each other with an amazing presence. He didn't even really use his wingman till the very end there. That was just coming through in great positioning all around. And Nano opening things up as a Watson is not something that you expect, but just great plays overall. They originally got knocked. They got the res down low. G2 decided not to push them. And maybe they can go back and look at that moment and say, hey, once this res happened, we had our opportunity to take them the team that won the game.
It's true, and I mean, just looking at the way that that played out, you called out the way that Nano was positioned. I have to appreciate the use of the legend at the end there as well. You had actually spoken about the way that these legend comps are impacting the way that people play the game. It certainly changed the way that CLG was able to win theirs. They were able to lay down the fences, claim that extra area. You can see just a little bit further in the damage. Nano got some crucial shots in there at the end and was able to shepherd G2 over towards Aspire, but Mamba and Demi not slouching either.
It's a great way to put it. They just herded those guys towards each other. And you wonder how many kills Madness's team squad got though too. I mean, MPS was really popping off in a handful of different areas. I love the way that Shubi was playing. You saw his shots. But if you're looking and learning on how to play, 1, Watson, 2, your comp right, 3, end games, just watch what CLG did right there. That was almost perfect.
Yeah, it was a really impressive showing from them, and especially after game 1. I'm glad that we've got at least the 2 winners, and now both with great end games and very different styles. To break that one down a little bit more for us, we've got Yeso on the other side.
Mike and Ike with the win in Game 1, and now CLG follow that up with a victory of their own here in Game 2. A very well played final circle, as T-Squared and Dia were just highlighting there, and just good understanding there from Nano in the team when they wanted to adjust their position. They're playing on the low ground, seeing if they can catch G2 on that rotation towards the circle. They knew that they were going to get some sort of availability to get some shots down, but, you know, credit to G2. Well-timed and good usage there of the Bangalore utility utility, throwing out the ultimate, as well as using those smokes to give them more safety on that rotation through the low ground. And as soon as that happens and those smokes go through, CLG immediately recognizing that there's no more value to playing that low ground anymore. They quickly rotate up top and know that G2 and Appraise there are going to be battling it out. So they get up, are able to set out the fences, throw down the pylon, and then continue to apply that pressure while the other two squads draw blood from each other, and then CLG just comes in to clean up. So well played there by them, and two good games from G2. We have to give credit. They've looked solid so far today. MPS as well, that we heard T-Squared talking about at the end. Of course, they're one of the teams that has been one of the most pleasant surprises this split in the North American ALGS, and they're showing a bit of that more here today. Let's jump, though, into our Mobile One high performance moment here from game number 2. And it's going to be a look here at CLG's finish to the game. They just came up from that low ground. Nano quickly getting the fences set down, as well as that pylon, to ensure that there is a safe retreat point here for CLG. If anything goes wrong, they can back up behind those fences and have a little bit of safety. But as soon as they see these knocks coming through, the pressure immediately comes out. They get a couple of knocks here. They see these players coming up already knocked, and CLG recognizes this is the finish here. The final shot there with the wingman is able to clean it up, and CLG grab the win. So just good play on the low ground, pressuring G2 when they go for the rotation. As soon as there's no value to staying down there, they get up top here, right alongside these two squads, set up the utility that they need, and immediately apply the pressure here that gets them the win. And among the chaos, they are just able to surround and suffocate both of these final two squads and grab the win here. And just, you know, some nice wingman shots here at the end from Nano on this Watson to finish things off and grab the win here for CLG. So well done from them. One of our two winners here through our first two games. A couple of bugs with our Mobile One leaderboard that we're getting sorted out on the back end, so don't have a look at that just yet. We will have it, though, for you folks as soon as those are adjusted. Hopefully after this next game, we'll update you when it is ready to go. But at the very least, Mike and Ike and CLG looking good to start, and G2 should definitely be in the mix as well. We're going to head to a break right now. When we come back, we'll close out the action on World's Edge here for tonight.
Welcome back, everyone, as we are about to jump into Game 3, as Yeso poignantly stated our last game of World's Edge. Yes, we've got dog cam for T-Squared, and that is how we know that as hype as things have already been on World's Edge, they're taking a step up.
He was waiting to get on camera for the entire time, but can we talk about that performance there from CLG? Now, let's go over that Mobile 1 leaderboard. You were talking about Mike and Ike, CLG, G2, all of these teams have risen to the occasion. The one team that we thought was going to really pop off that hasn't yet is Team Gnaske. So they're kind of taking their time, getting up there, working their way over towards their, like climbing a mountain. But Team Aegon, I'm looking forward to them bouncing back. They haven't had the best performance on World's Edge, just 1 point so far. Overall, though, some really high-level Apex.
Yeah, and it's really impressive when we consider that Yeso's question at the beginning of the day, would we get our partner teams making their way further in? We're a third of the way through the day, and Team Mike and Ike are going to be hard-pressed to find themselves outside of those top 10 with the 31 points that they already have. The likelihood is ever increasing that they're going to land themselves closer to top 3 than anything else, though MPS and G2 are certainly hungry for that spot. It's 31 points to Mike and Ike, 31 points to CLG, and then 25 to G2 with 23 to MPS. Absolutely closable gaps in between these squads.
I'm just really impressed with Mike and Ike overall. I know that they won game 1. I want to see them continue that momentum, but these are major orgs that they're ahead of right now, or tied with, at least with CLG. And again, Mike and Ike was a team that was on the bubble last season. They weren't looking like a top tier team. They were kind of falling into that middle tier. They've risen up. Everyone's stepped up their game. Even MJ, who was the MVP last season, continues to improve week after week. And you have to give credit to these guys. I mean, they are so darn good. Looks like the lobby did crash up early. We're going to get that restarted here very shortly, but let's continue to talk about that endgame because there was so much to go and break down. And let's talk about compositions a little bit. We saw again in APAC North when it went to 13 games, maybe 14 games, a lot of Bangalores. That's something that we were highlighting. There was smokes all over the place. Looks like G2 is the only team that is running Bangalore. Now, do you think, being the only Bangalore in the lobby is an advantage or a disadvantage? Because now everyone sees your Bangalore and they know what team you are. That isn't the case for a lot of these other teams.
Yeah, I think you're right. Bangalore, especially in endgame scenarios, is a real risk to run, and it is mostly because of that focus that you get. We've got our Mobile 1 leaderboards up here so that everyone can take a look, and well, clearly it hasn't hampered G2 that much in this lobby, and I think it has much more to do with their mechanical talent and the fact that a lot of their kills are coming from their edge fights. Bangalore's so good in the early game when those smokes don't really serve as a signal to everyone else because you're taking fights where no one else is. But as you get later and later, G2 have been focused, have been identified by teams like CLG, and I don't think that we see CLG making the same moves, say, sort of pushing out G2 and going up to that high ground if they don't know what kind of squad is waiting for them on the other side. I wanted to sort of take a second here as we are dropping into the next game as well and appreciate that CLG were also one of our few squads that were not running the Horizon, and that's an increasingly meta pick. What are you giving up when you're not running that Legend T-Squared?
There's a lot of different, things that you could go and pull off, but Horizon is just so strong, and we've seen that in a lot of different areas. Her kit is amazing for taking team fights, and it complements Seared Valkyrie very well, and that's why we saw that continue to rise up, especially with the Team Furia and what their success was throughout all of that. So, what you're giving up is a lot, and you have to be able to play your composition correctly, and you have to be able to play aggressive. Sorry if my mic is popping off. But yeah, I mean, if you're going to be playing a scouting type of composition, I feel like you have to be playing like Watson, Crypto, or Newcastle at that point because it's the complete opposite style. I mean, you could go for Bangalore and Bloodhound. I just don't really feel like you should be playing Legends that aren't really strong right now, right? I mean, Horizon even got a small amount of nerfs when it comes to her Black Hole, but she's still very good, especially if you're a solid Horizon player. There's so many different things that you can go and do. So you could play like this defensive type of style, but even with this defensive style, again, you have to play aggressive.
I really like the way that a lot of our Horizon players have been able to make names for themselves because of that as well. The aggression that's really prevalent when we talk about a player like MJ on Mike and Ike, who's gotten a lot of love from us on the desk today. It is that aggression that it enables and makes so much simpler for a lot of these teams. Now, Mike and Ike aren't the only ones, of course, but as a standout example, as they are taking yet another fight early on, I think Wizard Coin's going to be able to make this gravity lift all the way to the top, but Mike and Ike are giving up no ground here. They've gone from height on one end of Climatizer to height on the other end, and well, the scan doesn't actually get them any additional information. The fact that Mike and Ike are literally on top right now is really good for them.
They don't have the best armors in the world, but they were able to take that fight very cleanly last time, and the time before that as well. I don't even think they've gotten knocked in this 3v3 scenario. Now, I like this counterplay from the enemy team to slow play this, try to get some sort of loot advantage. There goes the scans, and that's what they're going to be playing around. It's just going to be scan for scan, right? Mike and Ike's going to go and hit their scans. Zenith is going to go and hit their scans, and you can see they have 0 points because of the fact that they have not been able to take these 50-50s. So I like the switch. Let's see what Zenith Gaming has in store for us and what their point of view is.
It's a good opener at the very least, smoking out the door and cutting off one angle of approach, as who knows what could be happening on the other side. Zenith Gaming still playing things, though, extraordinarily slow, and this could come back to bite them later. Could come back to bite both teams. This time, nobody going down to the south. This zone could very well be coming up to the north. We don't have that second zone scan, but as the first round starts to close in, other squads are very likely to roll up on this.
And now we can see an opportunity of which composition is basically better and how do you play each composition, because Bloodhound is just like a poor man's Seer, realistically, because of the fact that you're getting free scans with the passive. So once you see an opportunity to go and push, that's exactly what they're doing. And then you say, what do you give up when you're giving up Horizon? This is what you're giving up, an opportunity to go and full send in these certain areas. And now that's why the composition is just so strong. If you have any little mistake, you're getting punished for it, and that's exactly what Mike and I did. But you brought up a great point. The zone is going to be pulling over here, and even if it's not, this fight's been taking place for quite some time. People know that it's taking place, so they're going to go and try to pick them apart.
Yeah, I believe that was the, quote, in quotes, third party that had started to pick away at Mike and Ike, and it is Team Inferno, who have just arrived from their position a little bit further to the south. Have an early rotate that takes them over to Climatizer, and Intel are going to be landing straight on top of them. The zone pull that we get a teaser of in the top left of our screens is pulling us increasingly into this side of the map, and now it's like the cavalry has been called in. Mike and Ike were still fighting for their zone, but everyone else sort of ignoring that is like, we're just gonna, don't mind us. We'll sit here and we'll watch.
Yeah, and you see the zone scan coming through for Team Gnaske. They're going to play a disciplined style. They're getting inside of the middle of the zone. And this isn't as free as we were, or some of these other pro teams were expecting. Sometimes we've seen a mix of the open night and pro night just be a disaster for some of these open teams. I am thoroughly impressed with the talent that we have here as we take a look at the map in the zone.
The spread out from the talent as well. The sort of control that we were looking at from Mike and Ike earlier has turned into silent, walking out all the way up to the north. One of the potential zone endings, but especially in a situation like this, not one that seems likely with our knowledge. We have to keep in mind that Mike and Ike do not know where the zone is ending. Team Inferno, though, do have that read and are choosing to fight in here up against CLG, trying to uproot this squad that has taken hold underneath them. Pylons providing a lot of value to CLG. Mamba does finally get dropped, and somehow CLG aren't claiming that knockback. This is an insane amount of damage they've already found on Flesh as well, but they have to pull off the res underneath here and manage to at least stay technically alive for now.
It's like whack-a-mole out here with the players popping all over the place, so they're flying out like it was a haunted house, just everybody peeking out and scaring you immediately. EMP's going to go in for a Mamba just to buy time, and that does buy time temporarily for them to heal, so I like that play, but they're starting to realize this place isn't as lit as they were hoping for. It's a little bit open if a team comes in over towards the bridge area. And that's why Dimmy's going to make a move. He's like, all right, let's push in. Let's find an opportunity to move up. And guys, it's safe here. Everyone should full send this from CLG to take this spot.
Yeah, this is a really smart maneuver as CLG recognize that there has to be positions in here that are not taken yet. MPS take out Aspire Entertainment in the meantime. A little bit of their competition from the end game just last game. And G2 find themselves some kills as well. I noted Mike and Ike taking a chunk out of KCP, who I believe were able to recover. Excuse me, Team Gnaske. That is my bad. As Mike and Ike have their own positions.
Nice
It
nade.
looks pretty safe here, but that thermite didn't quite connect in the way that MJ wanted to, and they ended up being pushed out. That is a full commit from Team Gnaske to wipe them out.
And that's what really is unfortunate for that 50-50, because you don't expect the zone to pull on your POI, and then that team dances around for so long. And that's a good learning experience for both of these teams, right? Is that no matter what, if you're Mike and Ike, even if you're at a disadvantage, sometimes you got to just take that fight, because I'm just going to call it how I see it. Lesser experienced teams, like the team that's landing there and 50-50ing them, they wait around forever. And there's a reason you don't wait around for these 50-50s. You have to take the fight immediately and just have the respect for one another. It's like, if we're fighting, we're fighting. You don't just fight and run away, because when you fight and run away, nobody wins. And, you know, the rest of these teams are going to just go and take these spots now. And it's unfortunate, because one of these teams could have got some early KP, locked it down, and won out their POI totally. But instead, they're both sitting in the lobby now, a little upset about what happened. But it's a great learning experience for both these teams. As one of the team that originally was landing there, take the fight sooner. Mike and Ike, even if you're at a disadvantage, you got to just take the fight and get something going, because they ran into teams with purple armors, with blue armors, with their full setups, tons of resources, and they were in poverty land that entire time. So a really unfortunate situation, but great capitalization there coming in from Team Gnaske. They're starting to get rolling again. When we started, the Mobile 1 leaderboard showed them in 9th place. They should be able to rise up on there now that we've seen a couple of teams taken out.
Expecting that they will. Literally rising up. CCUS grab themselves the rooftop of this building. They're playing things slow right now as well, but I think they've learned a lesson from what you were talking about, T-Squared. They're taking that fight, and even if it is at a little bit of a disadvantage for them, they're trying to open things up with the ults they already have. Eve took some good damage, but Rigo up through this zip line is able to dip and dive, thrown in just a few shots with the Volt as well. Gravity lift from the inside gives CCUS the chance to continue to stabilize up here. They didn't find a knock, but they've got the chance to try this again.
I like these angles coming in from Rigo, and they were ready to full send this. He had a great flank on over towards the side. This is going to be Zenus Gaming locking themselves inside of the door over here, basically. And it's going to be a 1v1 on a handful of different areas. Great shots coming in from ZG, but it's not enough. CCUS making quick work of them. And the armor swaps come through. No third parties in the area. 10 seconds for the scan. And another great team fight from this squad that is continuing to surprise us. Great job pulling up the map there from production, showcasing where all of these teams are located. And Climatizer, another one of those spots, very similar to Lava Siphon, where you can house a lot of teams. I think one of the best moves that we've seen so far, though, was CLG. It wasn't any kills or anything like that, Dia, but they were in a tough spot. They were getting pressured. They noticed a fight was taking place that could have opened up some space, and now they have a little bit of area to work with. And they're going to be at a huge advantage, because we know that they're playing crypto, and that beacon scan is directly above them.
Everyone really prioritizing this Climatizer area as well. I'm even surprised by the position that CLG have right now, because of the fact that it's in South Climatizer. A lot of these polls tend to take us a little bit further north, and even if we aren't going as far north as that sort of fence line that exists just maybe 50 meters above Climatizer, we've still got the whole area in between Climatizer and Epicenter, where things like zones 2, 3, 4 even could have playable area, and teams like Aegon, for example, that are taking this slow rotate in, may have access to those positions, and she too is going to be at a significant advantage when it comes to finding these spots as well.
Love watching G2 play on the edge of the zone over here. They are really, really strong at taking good positions over here and finding where teams are weak and exploiting that. And every single time, yeah, they have the loadout that they're looking for. That's the key to this team. They do not want to leave without attachments. They do not want to leave without crafted up armors. had opportunity to play with Designful and Twitch Rivals and learned about how the inner workings of G2 were, there's no rush to get anywhere. They're just sitting on the outside. They understand, hey, if the zone's pulling away from us, we're not going to just loot up and try to get a good spot. We understand these teams are smart. They know what they're doing. All of the good spots are going to get taken. So let's find a team and try to find any little advantage that we can. And right now you can see just a minor armor advantage. And sometimes that's all you need. You have triple purples or at least 2 purples and a gold on the opposite side and 1 player with blue armor over here. And sometimes when you're looking at this small of margin of error, 25 HP makes a huge difference.
Especially when the game is so mental as well. Think about the way that G2 are playing Edge. Razor just saw them, and I'll tell you what, if Boom had hit for white shields there, Razor are pressing W. As it is, G2 get the chance to pick their own engagements because other squads respect the fact that this is clearly a team that is set up for fights when they occur. G2 moving their way through survey camp now will be able to effectively mirror Razor, who are coming from Epicenter, and may still encounter them on the rotation in. But this movement up to clear out the north tells us a lot about the way that G2 think this circle is pulling. They're expecting it to go further north, towards that fence line that we talked about that's just a little bit above Climatizer, where Milk, interestingly enough, are currently sat.
Problem is with this type of composition, it's really not the vibe that you're looking for. You want to have a Watson to set this up, and we'll see if Milk can do this. I mean, you're asking for a lot here from a team that doesn't really have the type of resources that other squads do. I mean, Newcastle's going to be able to walk up on there. You know what the crazy thing is that we haven't talked about enough? Big headshot there on the Pow Pow. There's not enough time for that because the push is coming through. Look at this aggressive play for Milk. They are now moving in on one of our squads that looked safe for a second. You peek your head out. That's a fortified legend as well. And they picked the right legend to do it. If they don't knock the Newcastle, Newcastle lives and gets the res.
As a result, MPS are missing one of their most crucial components when resetting from a position like this, but they've still managed to take out 2. Original Muffins and Gem get chewed through like nobody's business, and Kraber in hand, Marinor's got to play back.
You know, the only mistake they made right there, he didn't pop the Beast of the Hunt, and that is super, super unfortunate. Now G2 comes in from behind. It's going to be Bloodhound on Bloodhound over towards the back of Climatizer, and this is the opportunity that G2 is waiting for. It's really crazy when you just go and look at the domino effect of what happens here in Apex Legends. Now the God Spot goes into G2 hands because of the Kraber opening up, because of MPS pushing up. In 2 teams, G2 didn't really have to do anything. They just had to be at the right place at the right time.
And there's a similar story being told on the opposite side of this fight. CLG have the dominoes continuing. That first knock from Milk on to MPS ended up meaning that CLG took their spot and now are suffering the consequences of it, having lost 2. Nano is the one to retreat right back, and then we talked about Nano being so good last game. One-man army wasn't really the style that he was looking for in game number 3.
No, I don't think that's the vibe. He doesn't want to do this alone, and rightfully so. The lobby is very scary. Nano going to be posting up, but what a headshot there. What we're going to talk about right before that headshot took place in that whole crazy scenario was, isn't it wild to see no Gibbies? Gibby was a staple of competitive Apex for at least 2 years. And then one minor change, Maggie can now burst his bubble, and that sure did burst his bubble, Dia. Like, no one plays Gibby anymore.
It really did. I was wondering about that. You were talking about Bangalore a little bit earlier on, and of course G2, a very, very separate story. Difficult to gauge what the value of it is, especially with the way that they've been interacting with this lobby and running around the edge. But Gibby is one of those legends that, you know, if you're running a Gibby and you're the only team running a Gibby, you have a lot of power.
Gibby's still used in certain scenarios as chaotic, looking to line up a headshot. The problem with that is you're not really going to be able to get the actual kill throughout all of that. Trying to find out any type of weaknesses from these enemy squads, checking to see how many shots he has. And may just start letting these fly, right? Because if you can land a couple of shots, then you're going to be getting some great armors. I respect the play. I respect the play from Chaotic. He doesn't go for the all-star Kraber shot, and Gnaske picks up the kill onto Tyler. That was most likely the player in the air as well. But yes, do it. I want to see it. I want to see the headshots.
Thinking about it, playing safe for now. G2 don't have that defensive composition, but they also aren't suffering from the problem that Milk were moments ago, this sort of lack of resources, because now they've got plenty of death boxes to farm up in the meantime. Some good trigger discipline from Chaotic, saving these Kraber shots until they'll mean a lot. Things like that, eliminating, full thirsting a player out of this lobby is going to be really important for later on, as you're crippling a squad in the late game. Team Gnaske crippled themselves, setting up underneath Climatizer. They've got another squad looking to take their position.
It's funny because I think kind of the opposite of what you were saying. You're like,
oh, yeah?
He's looking for useful shots, and I was like, that's the most useless shot right there. That's like, that's not really his kill. But I get it. I mean, you brought up a great point of why that kill is important, right? Is to get that player out, make sure that he's eliminated. At the same time, you don't really get the kill for that one, so it's a little bit bittersweet as you see a nice fight taking place between Gnaske, Team Gnaske, and Razor. Shots from Blitz are going to land. He does so much damage in that fight, but a third party coming in from the backhand side, too, ends up ruining their hopes and dreams. And look at the shots coming in from Cap. Taking some really nice angles too, but eventually they have to start focusing on the rotation. There's a minute left, a lot of action over towards the Climatizer side, still 10 squads in this little area.
Flinzar going pretty low, is still dancing around a lot of bow shots that they're being met with in the meantime. Intel fight their way right back into this building, take out the remainder of Team Gnaske, and have that bow to themselves. Defense getting set up right now. They do have a squad that is looking to third party. This Blinzar is melted,
oh my
courtesy
God.
of G2, and we could very well see them full thirsted now. It's not. What are they doing peeking that door? Like, we already lost one like this.
You know what? I feel for him because whenever I have the bow, that's kind of what happens to me. I look at other players just shooting the bow and they look straight out of the Lord of the Rings. Me, I look like I'm shooting archery for the first time. Look at the shots coming in from Resulta over towards the side. That's how you shoot the scout. Just let that thing rip. Don't try to line up your shots one by one by one. Just let it fly. Resulta cutting off angles. And now we're seeing G2 lock this spot down. What a game from them. We were on board with them a majority of the time. We saw the rotation when there was about 16 squads remaining and things really opening up to claim this area, but they've played it perfectly since then.
They've done a really good job, too, with that rotation of avoiding a lot of unnecessary fights on the way in. They didn't have to combat for the Macaroni building up by Epicenter. They didn't even have to fight for against Team Milk for the fence line. They got to rotate in and take the fights as they happen, being part of that hand that just knocks over all the dominoes that were already lined up. G2's position now does get a little bit riskier. They don't have a whole lot of cover, although albeit there's a fence line that Chaotic can play around the outside here. The nice thing for them is that G2 aren't being focused by anyone. There are whole fights going down inside this building that they're just not a part of.
Sorry, Dia, I saw a great question in the chat. Someone asked, what is Series E? Well, things slow down just a little bit. We have like maybe 10-15 seconds to discuss this. It's a mix of a lot of different things. You're looking at G2, a pro team right here. You see some teams that have opened up. So if you want to get involved, you can sign up. Make sure you follow Esports Arena at Esports Arena on Twitter. There's multiple games as well. It's a mix of pros. It's a mix of amateurs coming in. There's really nothing like it. And you have an opportunity to get partnered up with some of our teams like Team Mike and Ike Tyson, Intel, Razor, a lot of great brands in here that provide a foundation for these teams to get signed and compete with one another while getting practice. Zone closing here in 5 seconds, and we'll see what G2 is going to be able to do. I always love watching the timing on their ults here.
It's going to be really important with the cooldowns that you mentioned, and their impact on this lobby is going to be potentially mitigated as well by a lot of the other squads looking at them. Nice call to play the fence line now as G2 finally make their rotation out. Good use of the smokes to cut off this outside angle. Arcstar still going to hurt, but remember, G2 have got plenty of meds as long as other teams aren't looking at them, and they are not. Finishes that Arcstar, then the bat. G2 still plenty healthy around the outside right now. Full scanned. Watch the timer on those ults. I'm waiting for the Bloodhound ult to come in. That Arcstar is problematic. They are eating nades now. G2 are in trouble. They can't peek around this fence line just yet. Some shots fly in. Design eats just a tickle of damage as Aegon do go out. 4 squads left, and G2 are avoiding all of them around the outside of this fence line. Chaotic touches that zone for just a moment. The rest of G2 prioritizing this fence line. Out's gonna come the ult, but it gets eaten by the pylon. G2 don't give a darn. They come over the hill. They still manage to pick up a few kills and now have a solo off to the side right now who's managed to take down Designful. Sunny gonna get punished for this, you have to imagine. Nice landing from Chaotic. Exposes himself to shots from the bridge. CCUS are out. It's the top 2 squads of G2. Only have 1 member left. It's Resulta against the world. No time to heal. Zone coming in. Resulta's gonna pop over into the waiting arms of Demi Chase, and Demigods take the win in Game 3.
Demigods, one of our open teams, taking down a pro team in the final moments right there. Great execution all the way up until the final area there, coming in from G2. But congratulations, we saw this team earlier and what they were able to do. Amazing shots all around the board, great patience. What a fun end zone there, Dia.
Yeah, I mean, nice way for it to end as well. G2 looked like they were in control, but a series of unfortunate events took that game away from them, as ultimately playing that fence line, well, it looked good, attracted just a little too much attention. The zone started to push them in, the nades were constantly landing, and G2 weren't able to avoid focus in the way that they were hoping to. I think that Bangalore call out that we made at the beginning of the day actually really impacted them there, because as soon as you see that smoke, you know that you can just nade that side of the fence line.
That's true, and it takes a lot of experience for teams to recognize that, and I think that's another great point that you made. But they still had an opportunity to win that one towards the tail end. I mean, you saw the chase coming in from Chaotic. I get it. Just imagine if he hit that extra couple damage and got the full 1 clip. He doesn't have to overextend around that. Granted, it was amazing shots to begin with, and that's a tall task asking for that. But let's give credit to the Demigods. They were one of our, again, open teams coming through over here, making a name for themselves, and what a way, again, to end it on World's Edge.
They ultimately got to play out of Intel's position on the low ground outside of Climatizer, the one that, if I can remind everyone, G2 opened up for them as well. So very happy with the way they ended up playing this out, and the dominoes continued to fall. To break down a little bit more of the series of events that led to a Demigods win, we've got Yeso on the desk.
Nice toss there, T-Squared. Appreciate you. Big win there for Demigods. Right place, right time as they clean up the remnants there of G2 to grab the win here to end our first half on World's Edge. But, you know, credit to them. 8 kills, solid performance. That's a good 20 points for them here in Game 3. But really, you have to talk about G2. They have been the best team through our first 3 games of today. No question on that. The win's just still escaping them by a little bit. That second place finish, their best so far, and they were fragging out surgical precision in so many of these different fights. And we got a wonderful look at Chaotic just not missing shots. That 198 there, almost getting the full 1 clip, and I think T-Squared making a really good point that if Chaotic is able to get that entire 1 clip, I think it certainly changes the complexion of that endgame. But regardless, G2 still looking really good. Chaotic continuing to thrive in this roster, and it seems like, you know, the world is their oyster as this roster continues to perform. Let's take a look at our Mobile One high performance moment here for game number 3 as we get ready to head over to Storm Point for our second half of the day. And it's just going to be a good look here at Chaotic with this R301 and Car combo just hitting so many shots. And Dia mentioned, right, the well-placed pylon is able to cancel out the black hole here, but it doesn't much matter. The shots still coming through well here from G2, and as soon as they're able to get those knocks and see Tyson eliminated, Chaotic's ready to go. Absolutely slams the go button here, gets the 198 here onto Hero, drops down and is able to get the final beam, but unfortunately just takes a little bit too much damage here on the back end. Able to turn and get some good shots, but slides out. Not entirely sure I don't think it's the tick there from the zone that gets the knock. I think it is those final couple of shots, but still just such a tough position to play around, and was hoping that maybe that smoke would cover them, but it isn't quite enough. And Demigod's able to come out and finish it off. It's still a really good look at G2 just doing what they do best, playing confidently, playing aggressively, and absolutely dominating some of these squads. And keep an eye out for them. I think they're going to be at the top. Let's check our Mobile 1 leaderboard here. You saw it before this game, so we can see how things have shifted. As Mike and Ike and CLG were at the top through 2 games, but G2, CLG, mixing up some names. Sorry, folks. Getting, I guess I've already got holidays on the brain here. My head taking a little bit of a break there. It is G2 at the top of this leaderboard. They have stolen away that first place spot. No wins yet today, but they continue to frag out so well and get these top 5 placings that has them up at 44 points. But Demigods looking really good as well, and that win at the end coming in clutch has them in second place, just 5 points behind G2. MPS rounds out the top 5 as well, tied with Mike and Ike at 32. So that's where we stand through our first 3 games of today. We're headed to a quick halftime break here, but when we come back, D and T Squared are headed out to the beach. We've got Storm Point action when we return.
Welcome back to Series E Apex Legends, where Dia and T-Squared have already taken you through 3 games of World's Edge, and T-Squared, we're about to have the unique privilege of jumping into Storm Point with G2 already in the lead.
Really had a feeling that this was the team to watch out for today because, again, they're showing up trying to improve, so you know that they're taking it seriously, and they're playing consistent. It's already been 2 great finishes out of 3 for them, and now we move on over to Storm Point, where I feel like their composition is a little bit stronger. I don't believe in Bangalore on World's Edge that much. I know there's a lot of different opinions. I think that a lot of people may not agree with that, but I feel like there's other legends that can be utilized. I also think that Bloodhound really isn't that strong in certain situations either. But when you're that comfortable, when you're that darn good, you have one of the best Bloodhounds, not just in North America, but in all of the world and all of the universe, the metaverse, whatever you want to call it. Designful is just straight up nasty. We've seen a lot of different plays from them, but Bangalore thrives in Storm Point. I feel like this composition suits them well.
Certainly so, and like you say, on Storm Point, these picks become even more powerful than they already were. I'm also wondering, and this is me favoring perhaps my own prediction from earlier, but if Team Gnaske is going to take a step up on Storm Point as well, because I have been really surprised with how infrequently we're seeing them in final circles.
Yeah, EU's just not as good as they thought, realistically. I mean, let's be honest. North America on top all day. EU, it only took them for an entire week to get washed, and thank God they finally got washed. They need a shower.
I'm looking forward to Twitter later. I'll tell you what, T-Squared. I'm going to keep an eye on you on Twitter, see what Gnaske's got to say. But
I'm terrified.
You know what?
I'm scared.
It's time to show up or shut up, If they want to prove you wrong, the best place to do it is on Storm Point, where they'll have the opportunity to pick off a few kills. Mike and Ike have lost a little bit of momentum as well, and that's just been due to some unfortunate mid games in their situation, especially last time, where up by Climatizer, they didn't really make it into an end game in any sense. MPS right alongside them have been having a bit of a difficult time recently, and it's going to be those 2 squads that, especially as sort of middle of the pack right now, I'd say upper middle echelons of the pack, that we've got to keep our eyes on for how they will differentiate themselves from other squads when we swap on over to Storm Point.
Yeah, and the zones are a little bit more predictable, something that we brought up, especially in that game where the zone was bouncing all over the place. I think it was in game number 2. We're going to be able to see teams lock areas down and really, really thrive. And that's where I think Team Gnaske could do well. But we're going to have to wait to get into Storm Point. We're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we'll have game number 4.
We're in game 4 already of the night. It's our first game on Storm Point. 19 teams are left, and round 1's just about closed to T-Squared. These teams have already set themselves up, and now we get to break down how these setups and these rotations that a lot of squads will have already made into Barometer will play out. Unfortunately, we jump in just in time to see one of our partnered squads and say goodbye to them. Goodbye, Aegon by AOC.
Hey, Vosky was in the chat, and he was saying, you guys are going to see me in the top 5 here by the end of the night. The lobby is very difficult. Now you called Barometer is pulling down over towards that south side of the map. A little bit slow on the rotations. You can see everyone taking their sweet time, and that's where the difference is between World's Edge and Storm Point. There's a lot of weird playable areas in Storm Point. There's a lot of cover in the map that you wouldn't necessarily bank on. Fight happening over towards Cenote Cave. You can see a little bit of shots happening, a chase happening too, as Original Muffins and his squad is moving down towards the southwest, and they're trying to run as fast as possible. White Tom Cruise is on their case.
Did not imagine that we'd be playing like this so early on, jumping into zone like you talked about. On the other side, right on the edge of the zone, my eyes are drawn towards MPS and CLG. There's a third squad in the mix as well right next door to them that are going to be trying to fight their way up this hill. CLG with the unfortunate and unenviable task of having to make their way up into 2 teams. Milk go down meanwhile, but this whole antenna situation is going to be really interesting to watch.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a gatekeeping scenario happening as CLG is still rocking the Watson and the Valkyrie, but they've ditched Crypto and they went out over to Newcastle. And that's what I love about having a new map introduced. Different strategies, different positions, different play styles coming through for each scenario. And now we're going to see what Mamba's going to be able to do on Newcastle, who's still getting more and more popularity. I feel like it's another one of those legends that is not that easy to play, right? Especially if you're new to playing him. At this type of high level, you have to practice him a ton to get to that point. Also, no Catalyst today. I was hoping to see at least 1 or 2.
Yeah, I like the way that CLG have been experimenting with Catalyst recently. I think they're actually one of the few teams that are doing it quote-unquote right. They've got this really nice read on how to use the legend, and more often than not, it's been working in their favor. I've always characterized CLG as a defensive comp, and the fact that they're experimenting with the Newcastle right now, I suspect will go well for them, and I like that they're taking time to work on that strat now,
wow, nice
especially
shots.
since, I mean, they've clearly got the firepower to back it up. The initial damage, though, doesn't get followed up by either the Arc Star or the Missile Barrage, and CLG are still stuck between now not just 2, but 3 squads next to them.
And you can see why those first shots were so good, because they're not easy to hit, and this person's now just walking out into the open. I mean, this has to be a kill. Gothy needs to get the point that you cannot charge out into the middle of the open against pro teams. That is just not the play.
Yeah,
Battery
really
being popped here from
move.
Dimmy. It really was. He was just walking right at them like a Mirage clone.
Yeah, and, well, CLG will be happy to at least collect the singular KP, especially because their meds are being harassed by the team on height. CLG get the chance to trade back now, but still have to play underneath this bridge. They've got a Valkyrie if things do get really tight, so make no mistake, this is not a situation where CLG need to commit or die, but it is one where I think we'll get to see their slow-paced defensive mechanics really shine, especially up against MPS on this hill.
And you saw the presence of mind from CLG to knock it on the roof because they understand a team is coming back from behind. Chaotic Passion, unfortunately, going out, and they most likely were pinched, and that's why Gothy had to push up the way that he did. But it's just so tough when you don't really have anything to make your way forward, and that's why we're seeing the Bangalore coming into effect a handful of times. The scans coming through, the smokes there as well. There goes the black hole through the wall, so it's going to suck them in, but they're getting shot in the back, and that's why the smoke value is so huge. Multiple grenades on over towards the outside. There goes the EMP. Crypto, Valkyrie, both weak. Shots still coming through the turbocharged Havoc. Unfortunately, no mag on this, so you're not really able to one-clip people as you would like. And now you can see G2 needs to back off. They understand that the third party is there. It's Team Raven waiting in the wings.
It's so sneaky. I like the Team Raven are going for it, but they are going to get scanned immediately. G2 full resetting. Good coordination, by the way, between Design and Chaotic, laying down that horizon ult, letting Design just walk through the door that was previously defending this squad up top. It's nice synergy that G2 are getting to develop in these situations, but Tyson also get the opportunity to stabilize up here, unlike Zero Marksman, who we unfortunately have to say goodbye to at this point in the game. Tyson have got the next ring coming to them. They've got this defensive comp that we already talked about. They've already been able to push back G2, and now G2, knowing that there's a third party ready, are unlikely to really be able to contest this.
And see another good question inside of the chat. Haven't kept up with the scene in a while. Why did Gibby get pushed out of the meta? We talked about that a little bit earlier when we were discussing World's Edge and the Climatizer ending. But Dia, would you like to touch base on that?
Yeah, I think our start on that was essentially the fact that Maggie got buffed, and while we don't see a whole lot of people running Maggie now, that was the beginning of, I think, a lot of compositions that took advantage of the Gibraltar. Seer already was highlighted as a potential counter when he came out, and then we went on to Champs, and all of a sudden we saw these high aggression compositions like the ones that are running this Horizon, sometimes Seer in these cases, really be able to take fights a lot quicker than Gibraltar could react to them. Did I get that? Is there anything I should
You
add,
did.
T-Square?
And if they have Gibby right there, they could bubble the door and take the fight and not worry about their back. But there's a lot of reasons why, and I think the key word that you use there is aggression. I think that teams are looking forward to taking fights, and they realize that they don't need the get out of jail free card. And Gibby was a great, almost like crutch pick. Yeah, he's really strong. But I think while people were trying to listen, we were still new into Apex when Gibby was kind of introduced, and I feel like teams were looking how to play certain situations. People were getting knocked out in the middle of the open. They needed to cross areas. And his kit was just built for that, especially when you combine that with Caustic. And that was the 50% pick rate that we were seeing in Champs was Valkyrie, Caustic, Gibby. Things have gotten more aggressive now. Speaking of aggressive, Clipped is just going to back on out of there and say, you know what? I'm going over to drop over to the fragment side because I don't appreciate you guys finishing me out in the middle of the open. But a lot of great points there. Seer, when the bubble goes down, you could see the heals going, and you could cancel it. Crypto with the EMP could cancel the bubble. Maggie and the ball can as well. And we may see a resurgence. I mean, think about it. Watson was not meta for how long? And she was meta for almost the entire first season of competitive Apex, but then she was kind of taken off the map. All of a sudden, Watson is picked up a lot now, and I wouldn't doubt if people start doing the same thing with Gibby. Also, keep in mind, Newcastle was introduced. People were still getting used to how to play Newcastle. Now that they do, they feel like Newcastle may be stronger potentially. Yeah,
I've really been enjoying the looks out of Newcastle teams that get to pop in and give us a new take on how to play Apex Legends, because that is something that I remember as a Rampart player myself sort of crying when Newcastle came out and going, this is what Rampart was all about, right? Being able to make unplayable area playable, and that's been a really big development, especially in the pro scene, where real estate and lack thereof, especially in endgame circles, becomes even more apparent. Beast mode, definitely feeling that right now as the ring continues to constrict squads closer and closer together. CLG are picking up a few kills, and Intel, interestingly enough, have got first dibs on real estate. I know they like to land over here, and given that, they've rolled themselves a pretty nice position, and an unusual one, even as we approach Ring 5.
Yeah, and I feel like as we take a look at G2 taking this fight to continue that conversation, it looks like they should have this fight under wraps. They haven't really taken any damage quite yet, but look at how they're methodically picking them apart. Everybody using their angles, baiting and switching all over the place, and the finished fight happens for Team Raven, who is eventually going to third-party them. Instead, they get taken out in a straight-on 3v3. And one of the priority positions, look at the spot that G2 has done. And they've done this numerous times. We saw this in a lot of their games where they take the backhand side of the zone, the slow side, and then they work their way forward. They own so much of this real estate. They have an interception pylon. But that's what we're going to talk about, is that Watson and Newcastle combined do a lot, right? Make playable areas, unplayable areas playable. Watson's kind of serves as that caustic. and then Newcastle serves as that Gibby, and it's kind of that next evolution of the meta. And if you don't end up playing this and practicing it, you already know what you're capable of on Caustic and Gibby because you've played that for years. So there's a lot of things that you can learn with Watson. How to place your fences, when to put the pylon, etc. And you could say the same thing for Caustic, but I feel like it's a lot easier to toss a barrel than it is to lay down some fences because they have to be placed in the right spot. You have to know how to make it so they're not going to get shot throughout all of that, and you need to lay down a lot of them. But also think about the minor change that happened a couple of seasons ago where the generator charges your shields faster. And I think that's super key. You know what's crazy is Watson used to be able to lay down as many interception pylons as she wanted. You could have 3 or 4 pylons laid down before she actually got nerfed.
That was actually one of my favorite time periods as well, because she always had the ult excel to be able to get a few more, so it really did become ridiculous. What's ridiculous right now is the moves that demigods are able to make, pushing up for a few more kills. G2 are real close to this, though. They were picking up a few knocks themselves, and now demigods seem to have lost out as Designful with the 30-30 picked up that initial knock. It's still Team Inferno that are sandwiched back here, but G2 are getting aggressive, finishing off the rest of Team Inferno, and now thinking about pushing up onto our Game 3 winners.
Yeah, they actually knocked multiple players from that fight and pick up a couple of kills. G2 owning so much real estate throughout all of this. You love the way that they're playing, but you said, ooh, because Chaotic, you could see the amount of damage that he took. Almost got knocked, but even if they did get knocked in this scenario, I don't feel like they're in that much danger. They've done that good of a job backing teams off. Scout, 30-30. That's what you need. You need that mid to long range for this particular reason. Keep people at a distance. Try to find kills with third parties without sacrificing your positioning, and G2 is having themselves a day.
You highlighted this spot earlier, but good God, G2 being able to sit all the way back here in what we know as a common endgame scenario, still has net themselves a ridiculous ring pull. This mass exodus that's going to happen for a barometer gives them so much opportunity, as G2 are one of those teams, and one of the very few, that I would say can split up really effectively, can control the rest of the game with 3 individual players spread out across the map. Result is the one poking out right now, but we've seen Design do the very same thing, and if you can cover all your angles here, we could see all of these 5 remaining squads expire before they even touch the ground that G2 step on.
And this is what they have to worry about. They see the Valkyrie ult happening, and they realize, okay, everybody cluster up. We need to show that we're a team together back over here, because once a team lands over there, that is our main concern. The scan comes out. They need to worry about the backhand side, smoke over towards the backhand side so they can take the fight. Genius execution. Problem is, interception pylons are going to eat up that Bangalore ult, so the Rolling Thunder isn't going to do anything. They back off, they focus the fire directly in front of them, and they realize that team is still on over towards the right. Just masterful Apex coming in from G2.
Picking up a kill on the now fallen Intel squad. G2 are playing things slow and patient, covering their angles just like you called out that smoke doing earlier. Right behind them, Result is the one making sure that the team is covered, but Design's getting a little bit antsy up on top of this bridge, and I'm concerned about the sightlines onto this player. CLG still playing over by this grav cannon are going to be great competition in the end game, especially because the zone is pulling right on top of them. Our Game 2 winners, CLG, could even pick up yet another win, and G2 are trying their darndest to make sure that doesn't happen by eliminating the rest of the competition before this zone even closes. Wide swing out from Result is perfect to take out CCUS, and G2 get themselves another 2 kills, moving themselves up to 13 on the day.
They're just surgical in the way that they approach this situation, methodical, by the book, everything that you love to see from G2. And this is why they're here. Practicing against teams that are really, really solid, but taking the 2v3 is an advantage, and you're going to go and take that any single time. And look at the angles. As soon as CLG pops out to try to find something, they're on top of it. Black hole, it lands. There's no interception pylon. Mamba getting away from his team. So much damage over towards the backhand side. A lot of AoE being eaten up, and the Arc Star lands perfectly. G2 on pace for another win.
The surprise Newcastle didn't work out for CLG, but G2 will take it to him. Nano's the last one left behind this rock, and Gravity Lift does some good work to finish off these angles. G2, who were in the lead until now, have just claimed their first win of the day, and T-Squared, they've gone that much further.
What a performance, what a game. So much to talk about right there, but the gameplay really speaks for itself. G2 just on a whole nother level there, and the composition is working out. I mean, we talked about Bangalore being very valuable in Stormpoint because what happens in these areas is you're not really in buildings a lot of the times like you are in World's Edge. You're out in the open and you're using this open cover, and that's where Bangalore is going to thrive. Heck, that's where Newcastle is going to thrive too, but you can see what happens when G2 gets momentum and forces fights that they want to go and take, and just great play across the board. I mean, Resulta's Bangalore smokes were so key in terms of taking advantage of situations, but you have to also give them credit for discipline on top of the aggressiveness that they showed. Discipline is just as important. When CLG landed directly on them over towards the Grav Cannon, they didn't take that fight, Dia. They understood, if we take this fight, we're going to get third-partied. Instead, let's go on over towards the stairs, all three kind of huddle together, focus our fire on team intel, and then one by one work together and try to take down the teams that were weaker than them in terms of a 3v2, a 3v1. And then once that fight takes place, CLG realizes, oh, someone has to be weak here. Let's go and poke out. They're already ready for that. They were in position with the scout laying down fire, waiting for CLG to poke out. Everything was done perfectly in order how you need to do it there for G2.
Yeah, and it's nice to see them changing their identity in a way during this season, because the former G2 would have just full sent it onto CLG as soon as they land next to them. But the G2 of now, the G2 that is looking to finish off the season in style, finish off their year here at Series E in style, gives themselves that time to sit back, play a suboptimal position, and methodically approach the game, use that firepower for good, and net themselves the first win of the day. This is just Game 4, though, and there are two more opportunities to see who else will shine on Stormpoint. For a little bit more on how that game went, let's hear from Yeso.
G2 with their best game of the day so far, at the very least, 17 kills, and they finally got that win that was escaping them for so long today, and they have just built on that lead they had at the top of our Mobile One leaderboard. Great breakdown there from T-Squared and Dia, and we just got a wonderful look there at G2 again. As T-Squared mentioned, that surgical precision here in the late game, finding the right fights at the right time and taking them cleanly. It started with that first fight, pushing over to their left, and then as soon as they had the opportunity to get onto CLG, they laid down the right utility at the right time, and it nets them a big victory. And that leads us here into our Mobile One high performance moment. Let's take a look here at how things ended up in this game for G2. With 3 squads remaining, they were able to take down Demigods. Of course, their biggest challenger so far. They were in second place going into this game, and the shots early are perfect. They lay down the black hole. They've got the ultimate here from the Bangalore right on top, and while Mamba tries to create a little space here, kind of claim some territory here for CLG, the well-placed Arc Star and the shots from G2 knock him down, and then it is just back to business here as they take down Dimmy right there, and then they're able to find Nano and clean up this game quickly after. So just, again, a perfect display of that surgical precision from G2, how they're able to get into these fights, finish them off quickly, and not take a ton of damage in return. Just gives them so many opportunities to respond to things like third parties in those quick rotations, and just so well played from the squad. And they have been our best team by far tonight. And, you know, I was preparing to say that maybe G2 doesn't win a game tonight because things hadn't been breaking their way in these late games. They've been fighting so well, but just one kind of bad turn of events had cost them the victories. But it wasn't mattering because they continued to play so well, frag out and put points on the board game after game after game. They'll just take a little bit of extra on top here with this win. And they've now opened that gap up to 20 points. CLG reclaims second place here at 53 points. It's a 20-point lead here for G2 going into game number 5. MPS still there in the top 5, as well as Mike and Ike, but it is quite a gap there between first and 4th place. So good job from G2. They're feeling very comfortable going into the rest of tonight's games. Meanwhile, some of the squads here, some of the partnered teams, looking to get things rolling. Aegon by AOC only in single digits so far. They really need to get things rolling. Razor with 17, they're tied for 10th place, but hoping to maybe chase down a CCUS or a Team Gnaske here late in the game. We'll have to see what they can do with just 2 games remaining. We're going to head to a break right now. Just 2 games of Apex left in the year of 2022 here for us here at Series E. We'll have the next one when we come back.
When the chicken is this crispy and this tasty, it doesn't matter what else is for dinner. Tyson crispy strips are so delicious, they'll be your favorite part of every meal. More crispy chicken, more family faves, more to love. Tyson.
We're into game 5 of the night, game numero 5 here at Series E. And with G2 having won their last game, it's only appropriate that we give them a little bit of love towards the start of the map. Tom, this is going to be the opportunity, of course, for anyone else to come up and challenge them, as G2 are unanimously at the top right now. But it's also the chance for G2 to make maybe a little victory lap.
Yeah, you know what they should do? Every team lands where G2 goes, and then see who really wins the game, all right? Let's see how good they actually are. Can they fight all 19 teams at the same time? We know what skins they're wearing. We know what legends they're playing. How about it? Any vouchers? I don't know, Dia. What's the strategy to take down G2? Just make them play mouse and keyboard?
It might be it. G2 have been playing confidently all day, and you understand why when they've got so much firepower on the squad. I think you and I started off the day talking about chaotic, but throughout today, everyone's had the chance to shine on their own. Mike and Ike, perhaps not shining nearly as bright since their transition out of their Game 1 win, still find themselves in the top 5, but my question now has become whether they'll be able to hold on to a Team Gnaske, trying to find them on their way out of the wall. Do show up just a little bit late, wondering what Mike and Ike have done, what sort of magic they have pulled, moving off towards the northern side of the map. They'll have the opportunity to wrap back around, gather plenty of loot before heading into a zone that we have seen before T-Squared.
Man, I really wish that there was a POI called The Window right next to the wall. That would have been absolutely hilarious for the memes. Taking a look at the zone, Stormcatcher is going to be the spot. CLG big posted up. I'm interested in this fight in Cenote Cave. Let's see what's happened over there. Last time, White Tom, Cruz, and his team were able to take that one. That's the 50-50 that's still taking place. And it looks like they're continuing to shoot. That's one of the more fun spots to 50-50 and fight. There's a lot of good loot over there, too. And a little bit of a lobby crash from our spectator. We'll try to get that fixed there for you very shortly. Until then, welcome. Hi.
Hello.
It's the dynamic duo. We'll have to get word if that was an actual full lobby crash or if that was just the spectator.
I'll figure that out. I'm going to go figure that out, Tom. With the dynamic duo is on the tech problem, so we'll see you guys in a few. Call me IT Dia, because I fixed it, Tom. We're right back into the game where CCUS have managed to take the fight once again up against Milk in Cenote. You expressed a little bit of curiosity before we had to take a short break, and, well, fortunately enough for CCUS, they've managed to come out with that win twice now.
Very nicely done. Good execution coming in from them, and you can see teams posturing up, trying to hold this area, which it's a very difficult area to hold. And this is the building. Don't let Chaotic get underneath this building.
It is bound to happen at some point today, but Team Inferno might not live to see it. Nice shots from Tyler, though, as he pops right back in. Does do a little bit more damage before falling, but leaves it up to his teammates as Zan comes around the side, taking out Aspire, pulling off the res onto their fallen Watson. It's a nice, pretty clean fight from Team Inferno, all things considered.
Yeah, and you love to see that move from Zan to fly in there and ADS the wingman. Very underrated weapon to shoot hip fire at that type of range. And he lined that one up perfectly, understood where the player was going to be. And it's so important to finish that fight off as fast as possible because there's going to be multiple teams that go and try to take this spot. This is not an easy area to go and hold, but again, the value of the Watson just showing presence, that giant light of the fence is going to showcase, all right, there's at least one team in here, and you don't know how many there actually are. There could be teams coexisting.
And that, at the very least, is going to keep squads away. The other thing is going to be the natural topography of this map. We've got a lot of squads approaching from the south, not that many from the north, and as a result, that Stormcatcher area And Thunderwatch, where we just saw these fights break out, does become that much harder to contest. You pointed out the CLG were landing here earlier. They're sat right below G2 in the standing, but several points below them when we consider the leaderboards as a whole. However, the fact that they've rolled themselves a really good spot in Ring this game might just give them the edge they need to pop back into contention for the #1 position.
I want to give a shout out to my boy Snaves is live in the chat. He is a rap god right now.
Yeah.
Look at Nano checking. He's doing a little bit of limbo over here, making sure his fence is legit, and he's going to lay down double layers of fences. And this is the problem with Watson. He's like, okay, what's going on? All right, there we go. I got the full charge up. Now we're good to go. He didn't have his charges yet because he didn't go over towards the pylons. So one of the minor things that Watson mains will eventually have to deal with. But Watson is, again, a very underutilized legend because you don't have an opportunity to play her in ranked. You have to play her in these tournament and scrim scenario because you see Watson in a ranked game or a pub and you're like, wow, this guy's a tryhard.
Yeah, right? If you see Watson in a Fred game, you're like, they're trolling, right? Because you are taking fights more often than not. It's a totally different play style, and it actually comes back to something that I want to talk about from before, Tom. That question that was in the chat, what is Series E, right? And I think that the fact that these players are having the opportunity to play Watson and practice the very best gameplay at that top level that Apex has really does showcase at least a little bit of what's making days like these so special.
No doubt about it. And again, when we look at the results, look at G2 showing up here every single pro night. They were consistently here week after week. Look at Team Mike and Ike, another team that has seen their skill level just rise over and over again. All right, this is the one thing that I despise about this map. Get the Prowlers out of here, man. I'm going to start a petition. Who's with me?
They're being forcibly evicted right now, so I know you've at least got the support of Aegon. They've eliminated not just the beasts in Jurassic, but Beast Mode, who were trying to infringe on this territory. Forsey doing a good job of at least finishing off those kills for now. Team Mike and Ike around the outside as well, forced into playing edge this time around, are mirroring their playstyle from game #1, where they had to trounce it down through World's Edge, taking out squad after squad. This time it is a little bit harder, as there's a lot of open ground between them and where they need to be. Mike and Ike all the way from even west of Cascade need to make their way through to Stormcatcher, and there's a lot of open territory here that could mean that they end up falling early for yet another game.
And keep in mind that MJ had to craft this PK, so interesting use of materials over here. Still has 70 materials. Great setup here. He's got a blued out R301 PK in the back pocket. I believe he has a blue shotgun bolt on that too, maybe even a purple. So he's in such a great spot based on the entire backpack situation. But checking their back, making sure nobody's there. We fortunately have the player outlines. You can see that it's going to be a safe spot. But right now it seems like they are just posturing, waiting potentially to pick players off that come in from behind. But it looks like a Skyward dive into a safe spot.
Yeah, that would be, I think, the safest bet, and Mike and I could use safe bets right now, especially when approaching a spot like this. CLG even potentially caught off guard. They do have the beacon to know where this is going, but a lot of squads, Team Inferno included, who prioritized Thunderwatch earlier, have now landed themselves right next to Intel in what looks to be a really excellent spot. MPS playing down through the low ground by these spider tunnels as well are going to end up taking the Valk ult to the opposite side of the ring, opening up that nut building up to the north for a lot of squads to hopefully last to the end game with.
And you can see the order of operations that happens here. Now, as soon as Madness and POW move their squad, MPS, over towards the west side, that opens things up for the team in brown to move in and try to take a building. But it also opens up the other team in red directly behind them that's creeping and crawling right next to where those spiders lie. As you can see a couple shots happening in between INF and Team Intel. They should play nice though, because they are in some pretty good positions over here. I'm curious to see what happens for the north and west side, because there's a lot of cluster over there, and there's going to be a lot of action when zone number 3 and 4 close.
Yeah, I appreciate that you pointed out this INF Intel standoff, because just at the very end of that map shot, shout out to our observers who gave us this, we saw G2 coming around the corner, right behind INF. And while they're not on Intel's screens just yet, that move could very easily spell the end of one, if not both of these squads. Nice shot from Jet to open that door. That was just a micro interaction you don't see every day.
You really don't, and I really like how they are having presence but not fully committing here. This is one of those instances, though, if they don't spot out where G2's coming from, or if they don't take this fight fast. I like that idea too. Missile swarm onto the door, but it doesn't connect, and that player's like, wait, all right, I get what's going on. They're trying to take this door down, but there's a flank over towards the backhand side. Jet doesn't realize that he's taking a ton of damage.
Getting peeked from the door as well. Now 1 HP. Jet's going to fall. Team Inferno have the chance to take this engagement. Icy not going to stick the res just yet, as that EMP follows up onto Intel, making this fight even harder to win. Going to peek over the side with the Kraber. Doesn't quite land that shot. Instead gets beamed to high heavens as Inferno pick up another, but now they're getting engaged on from the back. You see it in the kill feed. Chaotix just taken down Zan, and they are running down Team Inferno, who just took such a good fight.
I know, and that's the hard part about all of this. I mean, you take the fight so cleanly, and you have no idea that G2's waiting in the wings on the backhand side, and no matter how good your shots are, it just doesn't matter there for Inferno. A great pick originally. Doesn't give them any points throughout all of that. It has to sting, it has to hurt. They played that one so well. But that is just the G2 special. They wait, they play patiently, and then they collapse at the right time, and you can see what that patience does for you. That's numerous times. It happened in the Climatizer area where they got second place in that game. They wait for other teams to open things up, and then they collapse perfectly. Another great shots coming in. White Tom Cruise out here just dominating the lobby. Double knocks, 3 kills, make him the kill leader, but here's the full send coming in from MPS. We were wondering what the rotation was going to look like. Big grenade there from Shubi2B, and that should be all she wrote here very shortly. I mean, that's just so much damage, plus the reset coming through makes it almost impossible, especially when you're going against that type of tracking.
That is not legal. Shubi cleaning up that fight honestly looked like they might have done it on their own. MPS do get the chance to contribute, though, making it that much easier, and now have the opportunity, remember, having rotated from the spider caves initially, to rotate back up through them if they choose. They already know there are a lot of squads waiting in Stormcatcher. It might just be best to take this path out towards the eastern side and see if they can get into the ring that way.
Yeah, that's a great point. There's multiple options for them, and Madness is going to take the zip line.
Interesting.
And they're going to make their way on over there. I mean, there's 3 different areas. They even have a little bit of playable crevice there if they wanted to just like sit in the corner and camp it out. But there goes MJ. You literally could just know it's MJ without having his name up there, just based on how he plays. Unorthodox shots there. I mean, you expect him to one-clip everybody going up, but that's a little bit more normal there than what a typical shot would look like going up the lift. And it just spoils us with the way that he plays. But they're going to take over this platform area and do a little bit of gatekeeping for the time being, as the zone is going to go and close down. But you can see Skyward Dive should be in their future if they want to go and take it. They don't know that that zip line is free, but from the backhand side, it's a big one-clip with the flat line. Meanwhile, Designful, he's going to have... Imagine if you could bring your tethered teammate on the ground with you. It's over. It's over. Mike and Ike's down, MPS coming through over there, and this is where all hell breaks loose. This platform is seeing a lot of action now.
I mean, yeah, MPS still have to fight their win. I thought it was them coming up on the off angle, but evidently it was not. Happy getting taken down now, as MPS still need to fight their way into the zone. They can't play the outside this for now, and may just have to Valka ult out here. I don't know if they've got this option this time, as just they're in the zone here.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about, the playable crevice.
Wow.
I mean, I have no idea what else to call it.
Yeah.
But the problem is can they skyward dive from here? So they're going to have to look up into the air and see what the scenario is. This zone Oh man, Shuby's checking right now. Is this area able to get out? I mean, there's a tree there.
Yeah, this does not look like it has vertical clearance. No,
Who's playing Revenant? Just crawl up there.
Yeah, exactly. Peek out for us. MPS may be able to recover, but this position does not look good. The thing is that we're not going to know whether they actually can Valk ult here because they don't have to do it yet. They're probably just saving the cooldown for a long, long time. Still a minute left on zone close, so MPS's game plan for now would be to chill anyway. I'm not sure how to read their body language. Yeah, I've got to imagine. Or they'd be like climbing walls or something.
Well, they'd be punching each other if they were going to end up being taken down. But you learn something new every single day, right? They're playing the most random spot on the outside, and you love to see it. I feel like that was their fallback plan. Again, they had 3 options. They could have went left. They could have went right through the spider cave. Big nade coming in from Dimmy. Here goes the push from Mamba. It's also checking from the third party from behind. And look at the triangle offense that's being ran from CLG. Mamba's going to go and toss that wall down. He needs to get back on over towards his teammate, and he does. All while Dimmy is putting in some serious work over towards the backhand side. Nade comes through. There goes the black hole as well. Designful still popping off in the kill feed. And CLG now a little bit in the open. They bit off a little bit more than they could chew. It's the demigods coming through over towards the backhand side. Razor is involved as well. CLG goes out. We got to get on Designful's point of view. He's just craving everyone in the face.
Literally, I'm watching half the lobby fall in the kill feed to Designful. But demigods may take another casualty. We've seen these fall before, but evidently no Valkyrie is going to be plummeting down just yet. G2 continuing to clean up as MPS have Valk ulted their way into the zone. You called it earlier, T-Squared. They were safe, and now they're trying to play yet another off angle. A nice knock in the sky means that MPS have resigned yet another squad to death. Sunny not going to be able to return from this. Instead, MPS get to play this height, this corner that should be safe from the ever-watchful eyes of G2. But with only 4 squads left, well, you don't know that for sure. Another knock comes in. Design playing this height beautifully as Razor get destroyed. And it's our final 2. MPS versus G2. And G2 have all the time, all the space, all the scans in the world. MPS have a Newcastle mobile shield. Let's hope it goes well for them.
They have to filter out towards this way. There's no other way they can go. They could back up and skyward dive from their area, but look at this. G2 has done it again. They own the zone. All of the real estate is theirs. Plenty of death boxes to go around, and it's like they're playing with their food at this point. Will Shuby2B have his skyward dive up in time? No, he doesn't. They don't have any ultic cells either, so they're basically forced to push in on over towards this side. This will be a tall task for MPS. If they can win this fight, that's going to be a lot of trash talk going on over towards G2. They have every advantage on G2's side right now.
Yeah, this should absolutely be a G2 win. So much so, I was like, you know what? If MPS win this, I'll donate some subs. They've got to be rewarded if you can find a way to reverse this. And let's just say, by the way, G2 don't need to win this game. I'm sure they would like to, and I'm sure they're going to try for it. But they've got 12 kills already. They could have... We could take away all their placement points, and they've still essentially won a game.
The skyward dive comes up. They do have an ultimate Excel. Looks like they're going to play for the wall over here. Now, what they should do is lay an armor swap on the ground. That would be huge because all of a sudden G2 is going to put some serious damage down, and you'll have 1 free armor swap throughout all that. They don't have time, though. The black hole comes down. Decimation onto MPS. G2, brush your shoulders off. They literally could have punched them out after that. Ridiculous plays. I mean, MPS didn't stand a chance right there, Dia. G2, whole nother level.
Yeah, not even close. It was like they got erased. Just Control-Alt-Deleted as they hit the ground. And as much as we were talking about this from MPS's perspective, you've got to respect that G2, as a top-tier professional team, knew exactly what to do on that landing. We saw them even retreat back up towards that high ground, and I liked that move because G2, I think, quite nicely recognized that pushing down into a corner with limited LOS was more of a risk than playing zone.
9 times out of 10, you push a team and you land on that, you have a little bit of time to maneuver and make some sort of play. Hey, we're going to land here and put the wall down. Like, that's my Best Madness impersonation.
Yeah, that's really good.
There's nothing that you can do because as soon as you land in that spot, the black hole, numerous arc stars, everybody from G2 is just collapsing. And it was picture perfect. G2 is playing almost darn near perfect Apex right now, and they're putting themselves in great positions. I wouldn't even say they're getting a little bit of luck. I mean, you look at the fight that happened between INF and Intel. It's a little bit lucky that Jet got out of position and that fight finally took place. Sometimes you could stand there and let things work for a while, but there's a reason why they were there. They're creating their own luck throughout these things, if there is such a thing, and I believe that there is. It's called being at the right place at the right time. And that comes from experience. And G2's been through all of these scenarios a ton. They understand all of the rotations, why they play the way that they do, why they land the way that they land, why they run the composition that they're running. They're past 100 points now, I believe, and we still have 1 game to go.
Yeah, like you've talked about, I mean, they're so dialed in, picking up 2 wins today. This has got to be the goal of G2 coming into the day, is how to really take this ephemeral playstyle that they've had throughout the season that does sometimes get away from them and perfect it down to a science. They've already managed to pick up 2 wins, but have they actually cracked the code yet? That's the question that I'm going to pose to Yeso as we hear from him before Game 6.
Check. There we go. Thank you. T-Squared, they're talking about the luck or lack thereof involved in G2's performance so far today, and I'm reminded of an old quote that says, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity, and I think that's exactly what we've seen here from G2 today. They have put themselves in great positions to make plays, have taken advantage of those opportunities, and it's a big reason why they are in first place by a mile so far today. They pick up their 2nd win on the day, 2nd in a row here, of course, dominance so far in this half on Storm Point, and they just did a good job of putting themselves in the right spot to take that fight against MPS. MPS as well, with their best performance of the day, looking pretty dominant, tons of KP to their credit. They get that 2nd place finish, and they've got to be feeling good. Of course, they would have loved the win here to hopefully close that gap a little further, but G2 for the time being going to keep them at bay with 1 game to go. Let's jump, though, into our Mobile 1 high performance moment here for game number 5, and it's going to be the finish. MPS here with the skyward dive to try and get in some sort of a tenable position here, but it's a good job here from G2 of laying down some damage on the mobile shield. They then throw the arc star on top, layered with the black hole to keep MPS in place, and it just gets so much damage so quickly that there's never any sort of breathing room here for MPS. They control multiple different lines of sight here to ensure that MPS cannot get away, and it's just a clinical finish here from G2. So just so well played from the squad, and unfortunately MPS doing their damnedest here to try and pull a win from the jaws of defeat, but all of this preparation and play from G2 today cannot be surmounted to this point. I think they're going to be runaway winners here tonight. That takes us, though, to our Mobile 1 leaderboard and seeing where exactly all of these teams stand to this point. G2 now just 3 points away from a triple-digit finish here tonight at 97 points, and Demigods taking over 2nd place once again here, as CLG not getting as many points as they would have hoped, and MPS closing that gap a little bit. So MPS with a big opportunity to jump into 2nd place and jump into the money here tonight. 5 points, though, behind Demigods. So Demigods with the opportunity to keep them at bay. We'll have to see how things shake out, because that is going to be the most contested race going into this last game. Meanwhile, G2 can rest on their laurels. A 36-point lead going into the final game of the day. They're going to be very, very comfortable ending off the night. We'll come back here into the studio. Do want to remind you, if you want to support us here at Esports Arena, as well as all of our partners, you can shop from them over at walmart.com/esports arena. You can pick up products from any of our sponsors that you see at the bottom of your screen, and it, of course, will help us out here at Esports Arena as well. That's walmart.com/esports arena. As we head to a break, we've got 1 more game to go, folks. Dia and T-Squared will bring you all the action when we come back.
What's up? Welcome back to Series E, everyone, as we dive in to the final game of the night. Not just that, T-Squared, the final game of 2022. This is the time for G2 to maybe collect their third win of the night, as they won the first two on Storm Point. And hey, what's one more?
Yeah, I saw the chat saying free cash for G2. They could go to sleep right now, wake up in 2023. Isn't it crazy that it's going to be 2023? In a couple of weeks? Let's just think about that for a second. Actually, let's not. Let's just play video games all day.
Yeah.
That sounds a lot better.
Let's all forget. I gotta tell you, T-Squared, as I was starting the intro, I was going, don't say the wrong year, don't say the wrong year, don't say the wrong year, because I've been mentally preparing myself for it to be 2023 so that I don't, like, mess up then.
I have my Jumanji beard on, so I don't know what year it is anyway, to be honest with you. So, oh, the first mistake we've seen from Designful all day. He slid past the pill off of the landoff. And a charge rifle alternator. You know he's going to be passing that on over to one of his teammates. Also gets his patented wingman off of the rip. I mean, the dude's wingman's absolutely ridiculous. So I'm expecting probably like wingman car coming out from him a little bit later as we take a look at the zone. It's uninhibited. Look at all of the space right here over towards the south side. Barometers free, shipfall, Gale Station, fish farms, all of that. That's a lot of loot.
Looking kind of like World's Edge earlier today with Lava City and Big Mod up, and I guess nobody likes the southeast side of the map. CCUS, though, they love taking this fight, and Fortunately for them, it's going in their favor, if just by a bit. 2 knocks for 1, and a quick finish off onto Milk, who literally did not get to play Storm Point today.
Really nice shots there from Rigo. I mean, the scout without a scope is not easy. And he lets that thing rip, lets that thing fly. Knocks happening on both sides. Cruisin finds one. Blitz finds one. 2-on-2 right now. Armor swap going to happen coming in for Cruisin. He's got the Devotion. Very strong weapon early game, especially because a lot of times you don't have an opportunity to pick up any type of magazines, and you're still getting a ton of ammo with that one. Good ammo coming in from the flat line right now. Good armor as well for Team Razor. Let's see if they could capitalize, but I'm not quite sure if they were able to get their thirst, so they may be walking into a 2v3. We'll find out here very shortly as they're pushing on over towards the high ground. I only see 2-player outlines so far. There goes the Syracuse coming in from the backhand side from Borton, and it's going to be Team Tyson. They do have one player still not. Kodagami has not been able to get rezzed yet. Fences are going down, but this is a risky res. You almost just want to take this fight straight up before you end up risking it. A couple of heals are going to have to come through. Stinky is going to elect to go for the syringes instead. He's in the middle of a Seer ultimate. He's going to try to avoid that, but he gets spotted out, and that's what happens to me. I feel like I'm crouching. No one should know where I'm at, but hello, there's Seer, and they find you. He has 2 ways to find you, the passive coming through with the Heartseek, and now it's all up to Cruz. An unfortunate situation for Tyson. It looks like Razor has them cornered at any point in time. They should be able to double team this final player.
Yeah, this is not looking too easy for Tyson, though. Burton with shield swaps now on the inside. Going to rotate around the side. Come out with the G7 and blow up Tyson's day. Nice finish from Razor to pick up those kills and make it into the rest of the lobby. They've still got to pull off a res here, and rotations in can absolutely punish the Razor squad. The early 3 KP, though, going to be feeling pretty good.
It's a lot of damage for one team fight. 619 damage off of the rip before round 1 even closes. Could be looking for a big game here from Borton. Definitely a talented player. Looking forward to seeing how Team Razor continues to make their way forward, but Intel not messing around. They've had a good performance on Storm Point so far. It looks like they've got this down a little bit better than World's Edge, but look at that recoil control coming in from Flinzar.
This is why I commentate Apex, because every once in a while I'll see shots so good they make me physically choke. Intel, lucky to be able to pick up those kills, but really impressive finish there. The Horizon ultimate just to make this finish off all the cleaner. Gets that pull in, good nades as well, but Intel have to play careful. There is another squad looking at them here. Icy and Flinzar taking the 1v2, do eliminate Team Inferno, but are getting 3rd and maybe even 4th party to CLG show up to this, I want to call it like a swamp sort of area, and start claiming kills themselves. Intel get blown up by that 3rd party, and CLG, they're kings of the castle. They've got plenty here.
Great fight there from Intel, but gets cleaned up very quickly from CLG, and that seems to be the story with Intel, right? They keep taking these fights. They keep getting in a good situation. Everything's looking like it's going to be positive, and then all of a sudden they realize the situation. That was a great quote from Yeso about opportunity and luck and preparation at the same time. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. That was the exact quote. It was something opportunity, preparation, luck, and opportunity. Yeah, that one. Literally spot on. Oh my God, G2's full sending it.
Where on earth are we going? Up into the sky. Design's not going to be making it. 0 marksman. Didn't need any to connect with the shots on that Trident. And resetting on the high ground may very well be able to take out our squad in 1st place. I sure would like to see G2 crack 100 points today, though. And for that, they'll need to pick up 3 kills. Already down 1. Permanently, even, as Voski finishes that kill. It's going to get all the harder. Beast mode down now, unfortunately. We're going to be missing them moving into the top 13 squads. But 0 marksmen are still on the ropes here. Surprising, given that they were the ones to find the first knock. G2, with just 1 player left, one just left the game, have resulted attempting a 1v3, but can't quite pull it out. Team Gnaske take those kills, and gladly.
Yeah, I think they've had enough. They were like, all right, guys, we've already got this dub. Let's try to run at people and see if we can get a ridiculous clip. Didn't happen. On to the next set of practice. They're probably going to search up some ranked after this. What a performance here in Series E from G2. Going out in style, man. I love to see it. Imagine if the Trident could actually splatter people and knock them. That'd be a sick way to go. Just G2 comes around, tries to tail whip everyone, doing donuts in the middle of the final circle.
That would be awesome. I could totally see them running it exactly like that for the last game as well. Team Gnaske, I'm sure they've got the same energy going on right now. Well, I expected them to do a whole lot better today. 7th, not a bad performance by any means. Everybody is always looking to be in those top 10, and so you can call that sort of a miniature win on its own. But when we consider the talent Team Gnaske's got, not just Gnaske, but Tyler and Happy as well, I don't think it's out of the question to say that Team Gnaske certainly could have had some better games earlier today, and this may be one in the making.
It was a rough start for Team Gnaske. They didn't get their footing on World's Edge. They've slowly but surely picked up points throughout the day, but ending it on a high point would be key. A great idea to jump on board with them as we switched on over and watched them take down G2, but this is what I also love about these pro teams, pro players, and everybody competing. G2, they only played like that because they've massed so many points that they don't even have to worry about it. All these other squads, they're fighting it out the entire time. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit hyper-aggressive because everyone understands they need to catch up to G2, but they're still giving it their all. They're still trying to learn. They're trying to figure things out. There's so much to learn, even on maps that we've played for quite some time, right? We all know that Broken Moon's a new map. Curious to see what happens with that one. Hopefully people have been enjoying the new season as much as I have. But everyone's still staying true to their play styles, as you see Zero Marksman trying to make their push. They have 1 minute and 10 seconds to the zone moves. Still plenty of time to go and try to pester this team from across the map, but it looks like there's a third party coming in from behind them.
Oh, yeah. Barely able to make it in the door. Papa Midget going to be able to pop these heals now. Those Prowlers, though, could still be out and about, and, well, they're not going to take down Zero Marksman by themselves. The attention from a lot of other squads certainly going to be drawn, especially towards Aegon. We're sat right across Jurassic from them, with a little bit of an easier rotation into the zone that's pulling us even further into Antenna and beyond.
It's been a tough day for Aegon by AOC. Keep in mind they don't have turns on the squad right now, and he's a huge part of their IGLing, everything about his play style. Definitely tough shoes to fill. Happy, not happy right now. He's doing a little bit of dance, though. The Euro step is what I call that one. Huh? Holy cow, how is he alive?
How is he alive? I like that we both had the same reaction. As he's out in the open, we're like, well, that seems wrong. Most players don't get out of that alive. CLG don't get out of that alive, as elsewhere on the map they took a fight up against MPS and weren't quite lucky enough to make it. MPS actually continuing that momentum over in Fish Farms, where a lot of people would have expected the ring to be going. They didn't expect Madness to be right behind him. Incredible damage out of the MPS lads right now, and a good escape route provided by Pow Pow with this mobile shield. Madness continues to harass from the back, does find one knock with the help of Shubi, and playing underneath doesn't quite get away. Sunny able to answer right back. We're thinking about the commit, not going to go for it with this Newcastle, instead pulling off the res underneath the building. A smart move that gives them, as well as the squad on top, the opportunity to get themselves righted in this game.
Yeah, Madness had an armor swap from the box down below. I love that. And again, the power of Newcastle. We had questions about Gibby earlier. Just look at the power of Newcastle there. The wall coming down. The quicker Q, too. I mean, instead of having the bubble that takes a while down, to just get that Q up, fall back, also lay down the ultimate if you really need to, and push up, which is going to stun some enemies. But pay attention to how Madness was able to take this fight and never be at the same place at the same time. He laid down damage, then he moved across. There goes the aggressive play.
Yeah.
Pow, unfortunately, does take some damage, but it doesn't matter. He's pretty fortified throughout all of this, and this is such a close fight. 2v1 coming over towards the final side. They're using the wall perfectly here. You can see Pow's done this before. Third party coming in from behind, I believe. And there's just too many players in this building. I can't keep track.
Bro, what is going on right now? The fact that Shubi is alive is a miracle up on top of this building. Gonna Valk ult away from the fallen squad members and still has the squad shooting at him from the center of Fish Farms. Demigods are gonna go down in the meantime. Shubi, we'll see how long a solo can live. MPS did get some good kills before they had to run though, and 5 points for them does push them up to second above CLG. This is a really nice game for MPS that's actually gotten them right up next to G2, if still that much further away from first place.
One of the key things to note, too, is CLG's been taken down. So this is all MPS. Every single point that they get now is going to continue to separate themselves between second and third. And I'm going to scroll through and see what other type of scores that we have here, Dia, in the meantime. But that was chaos. Absolute chaos in that building.
I'm again amazed that Shubi is even alive. That honestly should not have happened. With all of the chaos in that building, it should have been a shooting fish in a barrel situation. You just go in and throw shots about and people die, but Shubi didn't. And it's not the first time that we've seen a Valk pull off a miracle today. Team Gnaske given us that before. CCUS maybe giving us something else, as no Valk for them, but plenty of aggressive positioning, a great Horizon ult and nades to follow it. Rigo's gone low, but up here on top we'll be able to pop the shield back before joining ETH on the low ground. Rigo unfortunately jumps down into a team that's already been taken down, already been thirsted, and right back up into the waiting arms of the Valkyries that we talked about earlier. Good damage out. Rigo, 25 HP though, takes a double swing to the mouth and goes down. Zero marksmen pick up those kills, and Mike and Ike are slick on the third party right now. They could go for it, but they're playing the ridge line instead, prioritizing the rotation, and when you see the timer, you understand.
Yeah, and Mike and Ike, they had a great start. Unfortunately, they've slowed down a little bit, but you know what? We've seen what they're capable of. They're continuing to improve week after week. I'm excited for 2023 Mike and Ike to see what they're going to be able to do. Definitely one of our most improved teams overall. KCP goes down, though. This is them inside of the building. AOC is going to start pushing in.
No way.
And you can see there goes the gold knockdown shield. A little bit of a dance back and forth. Getting picked apart by two. Yeah, Team Gnaske goes down. Zero marksman goes down. That's Mike and Ike picking up some kills as well. They may have a chance to possibly catch up and get inside the top three. There was a point where they were in first place with 31 points today, but they've really started to kind of cool down when it comes to Storm Point. And what do you think that is? Do you think that it was just like a masterful performance on World's Edge? Do they need to learn Storm Point a little bit, or was just G2 taking all the points?
You know, I think that a lot of it had to do with just the way that Game 1 favored them. I'd even say that after Game 1, we haven't seen the same level of control from Mike and Ike, because they're not able to, in that very G2 way, take these isolated fights. Instead, they're ending up in sort of awkward situations, taking fights as they're transitioning from place to place, as opposed to when they arrive at a POI. And now this has given Mike and Ike a little bit more of a chance to stabilize. Still, even right now, taking a fight for them, not necessarily the best. And I gotta hope that this fight that they take in IMC is isolated if you're a Mike and Ike fan, but nonetheless, I think you've got to applaud this squad for what will be their best performance on a pro night of the season.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, dominant Game 1. Great opportunity to go back and look at the film and say, hey, what was the big difference between the first and the last game and everything in between? Because imagine if they could find a couple more big games, like in game number 2, 3, or 4, or 5, right in the middle, gaining some momentum. Team Razor finds themselves in another one of these buildings, and they're going to be safe. 6 squads, 14 players remaining. You can see Gothi on the outside, Mike and Ike from the player outlines as well. And Shubi still alive. Look at that, Dia. He's over towards the southeast 165.
I can't believe it. Making up part of the 6 squads, though, does give us at least the signal that, yeah, this game is going pretty darn quickly and a lot faster than most teams would have expected. Going to the last game and even the 5th game, we do tend to get slightly faster games as the day goes on, as teams look for more KP, especially towards games 5 and 6. But even still, 6, essentially 5-1 squads left at this point in the game is surprisingly low and should turn into a round 4 or 5 where we don't have that much action going on because everyone's spot is safe.
Nice job playing the low ground right there. And this is one of the key spots that we see a lot of teams go and hold. Can Mike and Ike find another win? Put them up with some of the best teams that we have in the AL, just a lot of tournament winners. And that's a lot coming from a team that started as an open team, making their way into the partner teams, again, playing on the bubble. This would be a huge win for Mike and Ike.
Yeah, and you've always got this line of hope here. And Mike and Ike are able to avoid a lot of fire. I like that they changed positions even once they had jumped into one of these little pits. They got one with slightly more cover, slightly closer to the center of zone as well, and very difficult to push are these. It's one of the reasons why we see fish farm zones erupt so suddenly in the late game. It's because realistically you have to wait for everyone to exit spots like this before you can fight them. On the low ground, Mike and Ike should be able to outlast, collect more placement points, secure themselves in 5th, maybe even 4th place, but they see another fight going on around the outside, and for what should have been a slower game, Aegon are not letting this theoretical pace be dictated to them. They're instead laying out the damage, using Horizon ults aggressively, and this is with zone close coming up in under 30 seconds. Mike and Ike are hearing all this and going, what is happening out there?
They don't have to worry too much. I mean, all you got to do is continue to hit scans, 10 seconds for Wizard Coin, and they can just big chill. I mean, they're in such a great spot right now. Let all of that action unfold. Wait for big opportunities. They have the ultimate laid down. They have the pings happening as well. And there it is. Also, the cancel is going to happen at the perfect time, too. They're going to get good scans on what the shields are going to be. MJ is going to send it. They need the rest of the team here.
This is really nice.
Oh, what
a good use of the grab lift. Xenos Gaming go out, but Mike and Ike, a stroke of genius from our highlight player.
It's almost Mortal Kombat-esque. Who is the person in Mortal Kombat that can, like, gravitate you up in the air and just, like, slam you back down right there? That was absolutely ridiculous from MJ.
Yeah, that was not what I'd expected to happen. I thought it was going to get a little bit tougher than that, but that's Mike and Ike for you. It's a nicely orchestrated play as well. Once they realized that there was a little bit of chaos happening around the outside, it was a good call from Wizard Coin to lay down the Sierra ult, make sure they had full data, and from then, it was honestly elementary for Mike and Ike. They've taken us down to 5 squads. MPS actually got taken out, so we're in 4 territory right now. Razor still in this end game as well, but it's Mike and Ike, especially with this circle pull that I've got my eyes on. With only 1 squad next to them, Mike and Ike could easily walk away with this game. It's going to be, I think, they who emerge from the fish farms proper victorious.
This is how you got to slow play this one. Take your time. They've still been posturing inside here. They have multiple armor swaps over down low.
It's Aegon on the other side of this.
If MJ can land a good arc start here, we were talking about the order of operations again of what we're seeing from now on. It's the arc star first into the black hole, but it looks like they want to get aggressive. Forcey's starting to push up. They have another team over towards the side. They got to be careful because Razor could just potentially pounce on this.
Trading scans is really smart, though. They're giving away a little bit of tempo here, taking back a touch there, and it is with just the information that Mike and Ike are able to trade out. Their biggest advantage has to be the shield swaps that they've currently got, making their defense so much more potent than their offense right now. Mike and Ike are going to play this slow. The round's already closing, but now being in the top 3 squads. This has become, again, that standoff between the teams that we talked about before. It's not just Mike and Ike, it's not just Aegon. Razor are watching all of this and waiting for the go button. Out goes that Horizon ult. Good nades to respond as MJ pulls off the shield swap, but is still getting shredded by the Thermite. Gets taken down, and that is the go button for 2 squads now. Aegon full send it in, and Razor are going for the third party. It's a nice grab lift up top. Yet another Horizon ult gets thrown in, and an isolated Orioles is taken down summarily. Razor get to chew through squads as they exit Fish Farms, and from afar, they take command of the situation.
It's a big win for our partnered squads towards the tail end. It was the last pro night of 2022, and it's Razor walking away with it. Great efforts there from our final squads, but it was 3 partnered teams in the final circle right there, and you love to see it.
That's what really heartens me, is that we're ending 2022 on that note, with 3 of our partnered teams making it to that final circle when all the pressure is on them, and having a really good end game as well. It was well played from, I think, every side of that. Razor especially taking great control, and quite deservedly finding themselves a win. That'll push them up, and for a day that has been largely middling out of this squad, they may still clinch themselves a top 10.
And remember how that started for Razor. Borton with the 619 damage from that single team fight. The 1v1 with the scout got dropped down to about 40 HP. They could have been out early. Instead, victorious here on our final night for Apex Legends Pro Night 2022. Hats off to everybody that competed in the entire year. We saw 2 seasons throughout this year. Dia, it has been great casting with you. Honor, as always. Big shout out to everybody that is working their tail off over at ESA. If I don't see you guys, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year as well. Absolute blessing to be able to do this and talk video games with you guys. And big shout out to Yeso as well. We don't get a chance to talk to him that much. We're always tossing it over to him, but I hope everybody enjoys themselves and has a great holiday.
Yeah, it's been a great season over here at Series E, and the season will continue after the break for the year. As Yeso talked about, we've got a bunch more broadcasts coming up this week, so you could be sure to stay tuned for those, but Apex will return in 2023. Thank you so much for sticking with us, from the audience to the players to the producers. We could not do this alone, and we will see you next year. Yeso, that's you. Take it away.
Big hats off to both of those gentlemen. I'll tell you what, those two had an incredible 2022 casting, whether it was in Apex, Halo, League of Legends, other games. 2 very talented individuals that I am very thankful to call my colleagues and friends. So Dia and T-Squared, well done. Gents, great cast on the day. And we end the night with a partnered squad grabbing the W. It took 6 games, but somebody finally slowed down G2. They don't get into that top 3, and the partnered squads end with a win as Razor come in for that very nice third party there on Team Aegon and Team Mike and Ike and grab the victory here at the end of the day. Let's look at our final Mobile One high performance moment here of 2022, and it's going to be the finish. Mike and Ike here, honestly, as soon as I saw this, I was kind of wishing that MJ would have gone for the black hole up top, because you could drop that above those players and it will still pull them in, and then it isn't as easy for them to break it. But Alexa throw it on top of them, and Aegon just goes for the full send. And amidst all of the chaos, you see Blitz going up high with the gravity lift, throws a black hole of his own onto both of these teams, and then Razor just doesn't miss. The RE45 and this car combo is the easy setup, and Razor just absolutely gets to beam the rest of these players remaining. And this was a great game here from Mike and Ike, bookending the day. And you heard T-Squared talking about the hope is that Mike and Ike can look back at this tape and see what was different in those middle 4 games, because they had a really good start and a really good finish to the day, and I think that is a great way to approach this. Get all that you can out of this tape, learn what you can from this day of play, and come back stronger next time around. But it is Razor in the end that grabbed the victory with a very clean third party there to grab the win. And that takes us to our final Mobile One leaderboard. So let's see where all of these squads ended up on the day. Of course, to nobody's surprise, G2 finish in first place. They don't grab that triple-digit finish, but still 98 points across 6 games is a hell of a showing from the squad. That is a quick math. 16 in change point average for G2 on the day, so that is a damn good performance from the squad. MPS end up snagging second place there from Demigods in the end at 67 points. Meanwhile, Mike and Ike get that 5th place finish, and Razor get right up behind them with that final win. So shout outs to the partnered squads, as we talked about at the top of the show, trying to get things rolling as they've had some rough performances through the first 2 weeks of this season. This is certainly a better showing for them to hang their hat on as they get ready for performance in 2023, because while we will be taking a break, the season gets right back underway in just a couple of weeks, so it won't be all that long before these players are back once again, trying to get things going and chase down a championship here in Season 6 of Series E Apex Legends. Now, as Dia mentioned, we still have things going on the rest of the week. Tomorrow night, Guilty Gear Strive will be back once again, and of course we end the week with some multiverses on Friday, so if you're an FGC fan, do not worry, we are not done yet here for 2022, so make sure not to miss out on both of those broadcasts, of course both kicking off at 4 p.m. Pacific time right here at twitch.tv/esports arena. And of course, I'll be here to break things down and host it all. So hope you will join us for those couple of shows before we close out the year. If this is your final show watching us here for 2022, do want to just say a thank you to everybody who continues to support us here at Esports Arena and support Series E. It has been wonderful to be a part of this entire project, and we look forward to much, much more coming in 2023. For the final time, if you don't come these next 2 days here in 2022, thank you so much for joining us, folks. My name is Yeso. It's always a pleasure to host for you all, for myself, the entire live broadcast crew, and everybody here at Esports Arena. Have a great rest of your night. Have a happy holidays. We'll see you tomorrow.